This is Bits and WIKK, where we do movie reviews with lots of different folks. And tonight we have our returning co host, Marvel Girl, who is going to be the ghost voice. And then we have Cole, who is, who disappeared.
Hi.
Oh, there she is. Oh, wow. It's going to switch between you guys. That's interesting. Kind of weird, but works. We'll go with it. Anyway. So they're going to both be here with me reviewing the movies tonight. And what movies are we going to review tonight? Let's take a look at our
A
poster
classic.
wall. Our poster wall shows we're going to be doing Detective Pikachu, the Ryan Reynolds classic, like an instant classic in my opinion. Assassin's Creed with none other than the guy I always forget his name and want to say Benedict Cumberbatch.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender, yeah.
Michael Fassbender, thank you. I do know that, but
How
my brain
dare
doesn't
you.
remember. And then also Need for Speed with Aaron Paul and Michael Keaton. And then we, of course, in a week, will be reviewing the new Mortal Kombat movie coming out on HBO Max and in theaters. So, yeah. So welcome, both Marvel Girl and Cole. How you doing, Marvel Girl?
I am peachy keen, sir, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good this week. Got some new toys to play with here at the house, and I think I'm going to get my Xbox fixed so I can get the ants under control. So
I'm jelly. But very cool though.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. How about you, Cole? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm doing good. I've been hanging out, kicking it for the last month, and catching up on a lot of movies. I know you asked me to be on the show, and you told me we'd be talking about Need for Speed, so I begrudgingly had to watch that finally. But I'm prepared. So
All right. So yeah, we are going to talk about Need for Speed, but we'll do that. We'll do that in a little bit. Let's actually dive right into Detective Pikachu, which was the first one on the docket this evening. And I think that was just the new movie that we picked, and then I picked Need for Speed, and then Marvel Girl picked Assassin's Creed, and so we kind of just we spread it out there. And so Detective Pikachu is kind of the who wouldn't want to watch this movie kind of movie that we do. Although there are a few of those I still don't like. But so this one, Lalo, why don't we get your general impression of Detective Pikachu? Just kind of an outset and general overview.
Okay. General overview would be I loved it. I think that would be my general overview. I'm not really a Pokemon person. I didn't really it wasn't my thing growing up. So I didn't get into it. I didn't have cards and all that kind of stuff. So going into the movie, I honestly just went in it for Ryan Reynolds. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a nice way to bring people into the world who have never been into that world. And it had that off-brand Ryan Reynolds comedy that he seems to always have, his signature type of jokes and bums as I will say. But I thought it was great. And always Pikachu, he's yellow, that's my favorite color. He's beautiful. And I feel like it was a solid story from start to finish. So,
nice. Yeah, I put a lot of yellow in your logo and in your Phoenix there.
Wait, I didn't see it. Look how gorgeous that Phoenix is.
I was hoping you'd like that. Anyway, so Cole, that's something that I will do for you as well. Now that you are a guest on the show, I will take your favorite fictional or real critter and turn it into a cartoon. So, and then it'll join the cast here on the show.
I mean, I'm honored, but the hardest part of that is figuring out who my favorite fictional character is. I mean, it would be Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
So those are humans. No. We're going to avoid humans mostly. So you could do human
like an animal.
Yeah. So your favorite animal or your favorite fictional critter. A bee?
Eevee from Pokemon.
Oh, Eevee from cute. Pokemon. Okay. Eevee from Pokemon. Now, I've never drawn a Pokemon, so we'll see how I do. So let's hear your take, just your general take on Detective Pikachu. Cole.
So from the moment I saw the trailer for Detective Pikachu, I was hyped. The kid in me was hyped. Finally got to see Pokemon in like a really refined like 3D CGI look, and Pikachu looked amazing. Mr. Mime looked really creepy. Looked good. I mean, I lose my mind just at the trailer of that movie. And then Ryan Reynolds, to me, like Lala there said that she came and saw it just for Ryan Reynolds. And this was right after Deadpool or Deadpool 2. So to me, Ryan Reynolds in it felt like the Deadpool. Because he had those quips, those Ryan Reynolds kind of quips and jokes, but they felt toned down after having seen Deadpool. So that was a little distracting at times, but I still loved it. The kid in me loved it. As an adult, I enjoyed it.
I think I just messed up my entire thing, but that's okay. We'll keep going because we can hear you. But no, I totally hear you. I need to turn that off. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I just did full screen, and did I really just do what I think I did? No, I did not. Okay, we're okay. Just making sure. I think I messed everything up for a minute, but we're okay. Ryan Reynolds was my draw as well. I'll have to admit that. I apologize for the snafu there. Um, I grew up in an era where Pokemon was around for me being an adult. So I was like 20 something when Pokemon first aired, which means I'm way older than Pokemon. And so, you know, I enjoyed some of it. I got to know the first 100. Okay. You know, I can tell you that I know what a Snorlax is, and I know what a Jigglypuff is. And, you know, I played plenty of video games, so I've played Smash Brothers. And so I know what they are, but to see them alive in a real world, I had just posted a TikTok while watching it because I was like, man, it would be fun to live in the world they created for this particular movie. Scary, kind of. I mean, well, not kind of. I wouldn't want to be, you know, have the things happen that happen to the humans in this movie. I wouldn't want that to happen to me, but it's still a good, fun adventure, if you will.
I know some of the complaints that I heard about it from like other Pokemon fans, and of course, I mean, on TikTok, I got like 1,000 people like to comment about Star Wars, where I said the people who hate Star Wars the most are Star Wars fans, and I think we just lost Lava.
No, it's okay. She's popping back in.
It's the same kind of thing with Pokemon when it came to Detective Pikachu. A lot of Pokemon fans kind of took issue with it. I had to remind a lot of them, like, you're almost 30 years old or older, getting mad at a movie meant for kids.
Right.
Like, yeah, even though some of the story beats might have been a little predictable, it's for kids who are 7 through like 11 playing Pokemon games or their first exposure to Pokemon on the big screen. You know, you're part of that Pogs generation. I'm a Xenial with an X. You know, my oldest brothers were 10 years older than me. They're about age. And so I grew up listening to The Chronic and watching Pokemon at the same time.
That's an interesting duology there.
Yeah. I know, right? It's really weird. I would go to school and talking about Pogs, and none of my friends knew how to play, and they were playing Pokemon, so I ended up in Pokemon.
That's awesome.
But that's one of the big things with that movie was I felt like a lot of the people my age and older who took issues with it being like simple of a movie or a kid movie. It's like I think you forgot the purpose of Pokemon. It's not meant for us anymore.
Right.
Like, yeah, we had it when we were young. You know, this movie was kind of passing it on to the new generation. We had Pokemon 2000. They had Detective Pikachu. So,
Lala.
yeah, I just, you know, address that.
No, yeah. Oops. Man, I am struggling here. The audio is just all over the place tonight. I apologize to everyone for that. We'll get it though. We'll get it. It'll settle in. It's happened before. Lala, what did you think of the special effects in this film, the CGI? Did you think it was on point? Am I just lost her again?
She's muted for me too. I think she muted herself.
It's okay.
I want that feedback because I brought your Twitch up on my computer and I want the feedback. Like I did the
I hear you.
no, but I thought the CGI was solid. Because I've seen this world. Of course I wasn't immersed in it. Only thing I knew was Pikachu, real talk, because it was yellow. I thought that they did a really good job, like blended it in. I mean, because if you go back to like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, to me that movie still kind of holds up in like the animation with the live action. Like to me, that's a good blueprint for people to work by.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Detective Pikachu kind of like took it to another level. You know what I mean? Like I can watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit right now and still be just as immersed. Still like, how did they get? How are you talking to bullets? But they're cartoon characters. Like I can still get that. And then Detective Pikachu just took it to like a whole nother level. Like I really thought like Pikachu was on his shoulder. Like it was just seamlessly done. Like they kind of meld that live action and that CGI together. So I don't know if they had a big bag of flowers sitting there that they're talking to, but
Maybe.
and I like the and I like the juxtaposition of like the world. Like the Pokemon were so bright compared to like some dark spots of this world.
True.
Like I don't know what those what were those monkeys or whatever they were that he was running from.
Oh, you're talking about those monkeys were a little. Again, this is because Pokemon's been going on for 20 years. That's like Gen 3, I think, or Gen 4, which was right around when I got out of Pokemon. I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, anybody who's seen the movie, you know, like spoiler alert, I guess I'll say if you want to throw that out there. Um, they're running from like these like monkey things, right? But like, and it was like in a dark area, like a dark, like seated, like maybe like a darker type of area. But the brightness of the color of the Pokemon just stood out. I just like that difference. I just like, and they still seem to blend. I thought it was great. Yeah,
I agree with
Pikachu
that.
was great.
I
He's
agree with that.
crazy.
Oh, he does. He looks like
Look
very,
crazy
very
amazing.
real. Like scary real. Oh, what's the topic? So it's Joker. I don't know, Marvel Girl, if you remember Joker. And the thing is, Cole, I don't know if you know Twitch very well, but we do have a chat that will pop in and say their bit. And Joker's one of our very strong supporters. Joker's amazing. We are talking Detective Pikachu right now. Continuing with Video Game Movie Month. We're doing Detective Pikachu, and we're doing Need for Speed and Assassin's Creed this evening, and getting ready for next week's final week of Video Game Movie Month, which is Mortal Kombat. So nice, and look at that, Marvel Girl. You're all up in the chat. You know that's very awesome because it's did I give you moderator status? I think I did. We'll have to talk about that later. Anyway, so your volume did disappear on me a little, Lala. Just a tad. I had to actually turn Cole down to match because his went spike. It was really bizarre.
What?
Yeah.
Discord hates me. It's fine.
I can still hear you, and Cole can still hear you, obviously. So we're okay. But moving on. So this movie reminds me of another movie that's not really related, but kind of related because it's another kids movie, and that's Christopher Robin. Which I'm not sure if everybody saw that, but for me, I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. Grew up with Winnie the Pooh, and he was amazing. But everybody had a problem with the way Winnie the Pooh looked, because he wasn't smooth like he was in the cartoon. But then everybody seems to like Pikachu, which has the same furry, almost exactly same furry effect. So it really threw me off that people fell in love with Pikachu looking like that, but Winnie the Pooh creeped people out. Which I'll vote that I thought Winnie the Pooh looked cute, but that's just me. Detective, wait. You thought he looked like a real bear too? Like a real.
Like a real teddy bear. Like a real tattered, played with teddy bear. Like I thought that was the point. Like they were all played with. Christopher Robin played with them constantly. They were in the muck, in the mud. Like I thought it looked great. The texture was amazing. Who could create that texture, man? Like
I agree.
folks.
But it seemed like people hated on
I
it.
agree with what you're saying.
So you've
the people who hated on. Sorry, go
no
ahead.
no please.
The people who hated on Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and all them and Christopher Robin, people who hated on them, I think, are the same people who took issue with Detective Pikachu. I think those people just aren't because it's not what they had when they were kids.
Right.
They can't accept, that these things aren't meant for them anymore. They're not, they're changing, they're evolving over time. I loved Christopher Robin because I'm a big Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan fan. So seeing him sit down with Winnie the Pooh was cool. And I liked when he looked in that movie. My mom is a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. She grew up with still has the OG dolls. She has a tiger from like the 60s that's not black and orange, it's black. Uh, uh, like when he was originally conceived, and the characters in that movie look like her old dolls. Like that's how they would look as they age.
Right.
So I don't understand the hate aside from it's just people having an emotional response to something that's not remember it.
Yeah, that ticker is that's worth some money, man.
Right. And who, I don't know.
Alive.
And Pooh's disposition alone, like how could you not fall in love with the disposition of that Pooh Bear? Like he's so just, oh, you want to love. Anyway, back to the other cute.
Voice is spot on though. Let me just say the voice for Winnie the Pooh was spot on. I know the original voice actor is no longer with us, but
Right.
that voice was spot on. Like I cried when I watched like the teaser trailer. I was like,
Right. Right.
so good.
Joker did jump in here and says, "I love the movie Detective Pikachu. I love the franchise Assassin's Creed. I kind of look like Azio, hence why my wife it was all over me to laugh out loud, of course." And Joker does. Joker's from New York. He's from, I think he's from the Bronx. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's folks from everywhere that hang out with Bits and Wick and Marvel Girl, Mr. Snidbits, and of course, Cole. Do you have an online presence name besides Cole?
Really, I used to run a YouTube channel years ago, and we got caught up the what do they call it? The apocalypse. Our content was like borderline PG-13, borderline R, and in the apocalypse, right as they changed monetization requirements, and it just was too expensive to maintain, and we shut it down. So, I'm just on TikTok now. I just do TikTok and this. I mean, I have a Snapchat, but that's just for the people close to me, and I don't really use Instagram. I deleted Facebook. I deleted Twitter. So yeah, I mean this and TikTok.
And it makes sense. I don't use Facebook anymore either. I just ask because some people choose to, some people choose not to. Most of us kind of do quite a bit, especially on the Twitch side of things. There's not very many people that just run using their name or their given name, I guess, rather than chosen. The let's see, Joker says you should call yourself Cole World, as in like Cool World. So
Cool World.
Cool World,
like yeah. Hollywood if Hollywood could. Cool World.
Yeah, like the Brad Pitt movie.
That was a great movie.
I think
I used to be obsessed with that movie.
Yeah, it is not a great movie.
No, it's a terrible like Johnny Mnemonic style terrible film. Like.
Yeah, and I love terrible movies.
Right. Johnny Mnemonic is one of my favorite Keanu Reeves movies. It's got a laser whip in it. Like, come on, that's like. That was before Darth Maul. Anyway, just saying.
I love bad movies.
Right?
Yeah, no, he's got a good point. I mean, my Discord name, Cole9, is from my League of Legends day. My favorite team is Cloud9, so it's Cole9, but yeah. Cole World? That's a good one. Thanks, Joker.
Let's see. Can I make this? Yes, I can. Do that. No, that's not what I wanted either.
He's like, that's not what I wanted.
This thing hates me. It hates me. I hate technology. It keeps wanting to just show.
We'll keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
No, yeah, we're good.
So if you could like be in the Detective Pikachu world, it's very Zootopia. Like you live amongst things. If you could have a Pokemon to be like choose you, which Pokemon would you pick? And what gen? And tell me what gen it is as well, because I don't know the gen.
Which what?
Generation it is either, because I don't know what the generations are.
Yeah, so
no.
I'm a Gen 1, Gen 2, maybe Gen 3 kid, but Pokemon for sure would be Eevee, because you two are kind of uninitiated Pokemon. Eevee is like this little
I know Eevee.
meets a rabbit. Yeah, combination. And the thing about Eevee is you can evolve Eevee into any type of Pokemon. So like choose an electric type, Mewtwo Psychic. I can't remember what Jigglypuff is. She might have been normal or something. But Eevee, she could be anything, water type, anything. So, whatever lifestyle I'm living, when it's time to evolve Eevee, I'll just make her whatever I need her to be. Plus, I have 3 cats running around here anyway.
That's fair.
The Detective Pikachu universe is really interesting too, because it's like the Pokemon world that is presented in the anime. It's more gritty, I want to say, which is weird to say about a kids movie. It is. The fact that they would even, well, I guess it's not that surprising. The main character in the anime, Ash Ketchum, his parents are gone, or his dad is anyway, and it's the dad being gone, but they also his dad being killed, which is a dark turn for Pokemon. And but I enjoyed it, and I don't want to give any spoilers.
Oh, we have a spoiler alert. You can give spoilers. You're allowed to do that. I can here. Put the spoiler alert up. Hold on just a second. There we go. Spoiler alerts are up. Go ahead. Spoiler away.
Yeah. So the end being that Pikachu was the main character's dad. In a Pikachu, or the main character's dad's psyche trapped into Pikachu. You could kind of see it coming from a mile away if you're older than 15 years old, but
that's okay.
That was something that hadn't really been done in the anime. And it seemed a little dark for Pokemon. But at the same time, if you watched Pokemon 2000, 20 years ago, the Pokemon movie my generation got, Ash turned to stone, Mewtwo almost killed him, and these Pokemon were beating each other. It looked like Michael Vick's house party. There were a bunch of Pokemon beating each other up at the end of that movie, and crying. Well, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Kind of that rant on that I would pick Eevee and I would Detective Pikachu one.
It's all good.
Actually, if you play like Pokemon like Sword or Shield, I think the first you get to pick between like 3 Pokemon to be like like your Pokemon, and Eevee is like one of them. And
is Eevee one of them in the new games?
Yeah, Eevee is like one of them. Like
they had Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Yeah,
remember those?
Yeah, and this new one, because I bought the new one because like all my friends were playing it, and then I was just like, all right, I guess I'll play it too. I have no clue what I'm gonna do, but I'll play it, and I started to like love it. And then I watched some Pokemon movie that came out recently. I think it's not Pokemon 2000, but it's Pokemon something with like Ash dies or something like that. Spoiler alert, sorry.
Same one.
Okay, so yeah, it was good though. I cried. I was like, oh.
I will say this though. The closest the world ever came to world peace was when Pokemon Go came out.
What?
I was in college when Pokemon Go came out. Pokemon Go, the game on your cell phone.
No, I know the game. Yeah, no, I know the game, but I want you to elaborate. What do you mean?
We were all united.
Sure, it didn't matter. It was 2016. I was in my senior year at college. It didn't matter if you were white, black, blue, purple, Jewish, Christian, Muslim. It didn't matter. Everybody was walking around outside for the first time since 1999. They would catch imaginary Pokemon, helping each other, trading with each other. I remember I was walking down by the riverfront. A reporter was there for the local newspaper. I know I sound like talking about the 50s, but this happened. She asked me my name, and I gave her my high school biology teacher's name because I thought it was hilarious. So, if you look up where Matt Whitmore was published, it's him talking about Pokemon Go. But show and Pokemon as a franchise as a whole has been for the last 3 decades, and
Oof.
so that's why I think Pokemon Go is the closest world ever came to world peace, man. Everybody was too busy out on walks enjoying sunshine to really be mad at anything.
Very true.
All right. So, okay. Sorry. I'm trying to fix a few things here.
No, I agree. But then I started using what is that thing called? I started doing like the Harry Potter Go or whatever that is.
Yeah, the Wizarding World.
Yeah, like the Wizarding World where you could like walk
I don't
around
remember what
the
it's called either, but
you could do a port key and disappear into stuff. And after a while, I got bored. I was like, I'm good. I don't want to do this anymore.
right. I would probably I'm what they call a basic bitch in like so many ways, in like 90,000 different ways. Probably pick a Pikachu or something, or probably a Bulbasaur. Maybe a Bulbasaur. I just like his attitude. You know, he's got. I don't think I'd go for a Charizard because I don't want to deal with the end result of a Charizard. I just don't. I don't. Or I mean, a Charmander. I mean, I don't want to go to a Charizard. Yeah, I don't want to deal with a Charmander's. Like Charmander's cute. I don't want to deal with a Charizard at all, ever. Although I don't really want to deal with a Blastoise or a Venusaur either. That's why. Yeah, I'm not. I think I'd probably go for Pikachu because Raichu's dope. Just saying. Like that's I think I would probably go with Pikachu because I'm lame. But anyway.
Yeah. I love Pikachu obviously. So when I finally got a Pikachu on Pokemon Sword, I was like, I lost my mind for a little bit. Like I finally captured one, and then but if I had to choose a Pokemon, I probably would do Pikachu or like Charmander because they're so pretty.
So you're like me. I love it. I love it.
They're cute.
They really are. I'm with you there. So we definitely like the world. We definitely like the CG. So far, we've kind of agreed across the board, the three of us. It does. It hates all of us. I'm going to look into getting Zoom, but that takes stuff and time and stuff and things.
I mean, I have Zoom.
You do?
Yes, I do.
We might have to talk after the show tonight and figure out some logistics. A little bit more this week, but we'll figure that out. Because Marvel Girl is definitely an awesome co-host, and I'm loving this. This has been fun. And if you have not supported her both here on Twitch and on TikTok, please do go follow her on both as soon as possible. Because she has great content and has got great insight. You know, hey, I'll run with whatever comes out. And then same thing with Cole. Cole, we might, there's a few things. I'm trying to upgrade my computer. Just in general, just things slowly taking their time. I want to get my computer to the point where I can bring my music in, and I have a whole sound board for awesome sounds for movie sounds, movie reel sounds, audience clapping, all those classic movie sounds. And then I can even get some
Wilhelm scream.
Right, exactly. The things that either drive people nuts because they're so cliche, or I could add in some fun, screams from Scream or from various horror flicks, or just canned laughter or lines from Jim Carrey, whatever. Like I think for a movie show like this, it would really any and all. But my computer needs a little bit more power for that. But that is what it is. But I got another rig set up for now. We're totally going aside. I got my TikTok rig set up a little bit better now, which is going to be awesome. I got a tripod, for my camera or for my phone. I mean, yeah. So they'll be the same shot instead of various shots over and over. That's a big deal. Anyway, Detective Pikachu. I think that Ryan Reynolds is one of the most overrated and underrated actors simultaneously. He's amazing at all times. And then I'm like, man, sometimes he's in too much. He's in everything. And that's great until I'm like, okay, his humor never changes. And that gets a little overwhelming. And I think that's something Cole alluded to about the the no, you alluded to it, Lala. The jokes that the but bump jokes. You know those. See, I can have one of those on my keyboard. But um, but God, Ryan Reynolds is a god. Joker says, "I can't wait. I wanted to do the same for my last stream, but this would be definitely work with your whole show setting. How dare you? Ryan Reynolds is a god," he says, and of course he tells me he's kidding. I know, no. If you know, I think that everything's a spectrum in life, and for myself, if we were going to get on that spectrum, Ryan Reynolds is on my spectrum. If you know what I mean.
It really depends on your first exposure to Ryan Reynolds.
Ooh, that's
I
fair.
remember the first time I saw Ryan Reynolds was Van Wilder.
Oh, okay.
Which is hilarious. I don't know if anybody here have you guys seen Van Wilder?
Oh yeah, we're big movie buffs, so
still doing movies. I still think about the scene. He's in the hot tub with his dog and boo boo. You know, or like Waiting. So you see Van Wilder Waiting, Hitman's Bodyguard, Deadpool 1 and 2, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know what my first exposure was to Ryan Reynolds?
Be the same as mine, I bet.
Buying the Cow.
Oh,
he played the plucky friend. I think it's not Jason Bateman, but the other guy that always reminds me of him. He's
It's Jerry O'Connell.
O'Connell, that's right. So he's Jerry O'Connell's like plucky friend, and he's Ryan Reynolds in that movie, like straight up. Yeah, agreed. Waiting was Joker's first exposure, and of course, Waiting is flawless because who doesn't really want to be that way in the restaurant industry? I mean, it's awful, and the jokes don't hit quite the same. It's a little, you know,
dated. It's a product of its era.
Joker, you mean Blade 3?
Yeah, Blade 3. He's in Trinity.
Blade 3. Yeah, Blade Trinity. That's right.
Yeah.
So I
forgot about that one.
I outrank you all in the first time that I saw Ryan Reynolds.
Ooh.
In the TV show, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Piece of.
I knew that. I saw the commercials for that. I don't think I ever actually watched it though. But you got it.
I watched a few episodes of that, and then it was like, I drifted off somewhere else because I was a child at the time, and then like Van Wilder, and then like Waiting, and then then like all that stuff. The Proposal, because he was playing like love interests a lot.
The Proposal. I love that movie.
He gets typecast in comedy, in the type of comedy that he delivers. For me, he's like a male Melissa McCarthy. Like you're gonna get this comedy when you hear him.
But you're probably gonna enjoy yourself too.
Oh, way more.
Yeah.
It's like an American Hugh Grant.
No. Hugh Grant's. I mean, I guess I don't know how Brits feel about Hugh Grant, but I don't know. So the one movie I always think of when I think of Ryan Reynolds is actually the one where he plays the most serious character, and that's actually Amityville Horror, 2005. He does such an amazing job in that I'm like, why don't you stretch your legs in that way a little bit more, dude? Like seriously, not that you don't do a good job, but yeah, he did, and he looks he looks good with a beard.
I don't think people were giving him as much attention as they were when he was doing comedy. The moment he because nobody can tell a joke or say a line like Ryan Reynolds. Like Ryan Reynolds has his own like style when he speaks and when he says like certain words, certain phrases. And I think that when he started doing like this weird comedy, like kind of like he was kind of like breaking the fourth wall even within his own comedy, like in certain movies even before Deadpool. I think people latched onto that so much that's why his star rose the way it rose.
Okay.
Because
I agree, and I want to expand on that. I feel like every time he has had the opportunity to branch away from that, audiences necessarily his fault. I think every time he's tried to branch away from that, he's been in bad productions like Blade Trinity. So Blade Trinity famously had huge issues with Wesley Snipes on that movie because he's super high all the time. Now I'm all for weed and the legalization of weed, but you got a job to do. And when Wesley Snipes was super high, he was going off on Patton Oswalt on set. And so Blade Trinity had a rough go of it, and I think that was really his first time trying to do more of like an action thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then Amityville Horror, if you remember, came out at a time when you had like 30 other haunted house movies coming out. You had Paranormal Activity around that time. You had I can't remember if Conjuring necessarily started around then because that's become its own whole franchise. There was like another Amityville horror movie around that time. Saw was huge around that time. So like all these other, every time I feel like Ryan Reynolds has tried to branch out, it's not necessarily his fault. It's just hasn't worked out financially. So studios just go, okay, keep him where he's at.
Well, that's why it took him how many years to
think.
create Deadpool? I mean, it took him a half a dozen years to get them to take Deadpool seriously, and he was like a one-man army to make it happen. And if anybody should deserve credit, it is literally Ryan Reynolds. And there are probably others, and I know there are. There are executive producers and other people that took a chance on him that deserve credit. But as far as everything I've heard and what he strove to do, plus the people that made the animation, that short animation that they based the whole thing on, those are the folks that deserve the credit. So, yeah.
And actually, you bringing that up makes me of this. Are you guys familiar with the whole Snyder Cut controversy and how that all went about?
Yeah, no, yeah, we're yeah, the Snyder Cut.
How? I got a Marvel Universe poster, but like, Justice League was such a kick in the face to a lot of us superhero nerds, and so fans gathered together and protested until we got the Snyder version of the movie.
Made no
and like, Deadpool did that 10 years.
Right.
Deadpool did that 10 years before Justice League.
And you want to know, not that he's...
Yeah.
Right. Not that he's worth talking about right now, but Joss Whedon had his fans do it even before that. Serenity exists because Firefly was such a thing that the fans... So if you want to talk about, I mean, not saying that the Justice League fans don't deserve their due credit for getting the studio to do something, but I think there's a dangerous precedent to be set when you get fans. It's one thing to be like, here, we're raising enough money to make it possible. That's one thing. It's a whole other thing when they're like, dude, do it because you didn't release the real thing and conspiracy that, I don't know.
I don't know, but part of me feels like they were going to do this anyway, right? Because you don't reshoot and, do all this stuff that you did for the Snyder Cut for fans. Like, nobody cares about us. Like nobody cares that much about fans. I've never seen anybody really care that much. I think that they were already planning this, and then us, well, not us, because I definitely didn't protest. Other fans that wanted his cut, I think that they just finally it just all coincided in a way. I really don't think they did it for us. I think they were like on the fence about it, and then we're like, okay, we'll give you the rope to like kind of do a little bit, and then as the fans kept getting more and more, they were like, okay, cool. Go run with it. Oh, you want to reshoot? Sure. We'll do whatever. They started to like kind of like get a little bit more on board.
But it cost them $70 million. You think it was worth $70 million?
I don't think it was worth anything. Like, I felt like it was 4 hours of my time wasted. Well, I always say that the Snyder Cut did give me some insight to how bad whoever cut up the Josh Whedon version, or the Whedon cut is what I call it. Whoever like edited the Whedon cut took so much of what Snyder created out of it that when I watched Snyder's, the first Justice League made sense. I was like, oh, okay, I get why this happened. I get why that
right.
happened. But it was a lot in the Snyder cut that didn't need to be there.
No, there needs to be the Warner Brothers cut where they do that studio effect. You remember Mallrats? Have you ever seen the alternate version? Cole, maybe, I don't know if you're a Mallrats fan either, but there's an alternate version to Mallrats.
Kevin Smith.
Okay, so you've seen the alternate version of Mallrats, and this thing is bizarre because they actually talk about the governor's ball, and like they go there and you get to see all the things they talk about in the movie that are aside. You actually get to see the night before, like all of it. And there's not the weird exchange with him and his girlfriend at the house, and you don't get to see naked. Man, why do I forget actors' names when I need to? It doesn't matter. You don't get to see what you normally see in the movie. and it's the cut is, and no offense to Kevin Smith, but it was weird. It didn't, and it's not. I was trying to watch it without bias. I've seen the movie enough times that I literally set that aside and let's watch this as a movie. And it just felt the flow and the pacing was really odd, and it didn't work. And it wasn't as funny. It was a little too much dramedy for an early '90s film. So the studio recut it, and what I think came out to be a great vision between what Kevin Smith came up with and what the studio was willing to make. And I think it's a brilliant film. And sometimes the studio does get it right. We live in a society that says the studio always gets it wrong. And I'm like, except they're making billions. So I think they do get it right sometimes. And so I think that the Justice League movie would do well if you just got a few executives that are like, no, get the pacing going, get the pacing going. And then that's what they focused on, because both had terrible pacing and both had total discongruent storylines that made no sense to me.
But you need to have executives that actually know what they're talking about and are not there for the bottom line, which is the money. And I know that's hard. I know that's difficult. Everybody wants to make money when they create something, when they're putting like their own money towards things. But you need people that actually know what they're talking about. Because if you get executive producers that have no idea what pacing is or has no idea, and that's usually what some of these companies I feel have. They have backers that have no clue what they're doing, but they have the money. So they're just like, yeah, we got this. This is a great story. It's gonna make. Just give us some money. And then they don't have anybody to say, no, that's not right. No, that doesn't look good. And everybody's just saying yes because they get paid.
Right.
That's where like, these bad movies come from.
Agreed. Hold on, I'm going to move. I can actually do this. I can move Cole over. Oh, wow. I can drop myself here.
A whole episode on the Snyder Cut because I could easily do that.
Oh, look at this. I got the two of you on screen. What is this going on? This is awesome. Go ahead. No, it's okay. Like I said, we go off the rails a little bit. That's fine. Like, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Did you have more you wanted to add, Cole?
I mean, I could talk all day on the Snyder Cut, but that's not why we came here today.
That's fair.
And I don't want to, drag all that. I'll just take it to Detective Pikachu. Was Ryan Reynolds, and that's how we got there. Thanks, AD. But Ryan Reynolds in Detective Pikachu said it earlier at the beginning of the show, but it feel like Lala, you're right. It is Ryan Reynolds. It is his cadence and his kind of quippiness. You get like the famous coffee addiction stuff with Pikachu is hilarious in the movie.
I relate.
It does feel like a PG-13 Deadpool.
Yeah.
With Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. Not bad. That doesn't mean it's bad. It works. I'm just frustrated more so with myself because it continues to work. It's like, why keep enjoying the same thing? Am I dumb for this, or is it just this is naturally funny? And I would rather assume Ryan Reynolds has made a very successful career out of just being naturally good at what he does.
No, a lot of actors do that. I would argue that I could name a half a dozen actors right now that literally they've made a career out of being themselves. I would argue Morgan Freeman is that actor. I would argue that Mark Wahlberg is that actor. Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey, most of the comedic actors. Adam Sandler's a little less that thing.
But I will say that Jim Carrey, for me, people don't give him enough credit. I feel like he has a range that a lot of comedians turned trying to be serious actors don't have.
Right.
Like he has
Man on the Moon, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I mean, Jim Carrey's got
he got some range.
Good show.
Will Ferrell for me is so one note. It's it's so bad for me. He's so one note. People get so mad at me when I say I don't like.
You don't like Will Ferrell? Oh, we are. This is kismet. I don't like Will Ferrell either. Like, and look, I always say that, and it's really unfair. But no, go ahead, Cole.
This is what I was going to say about Will Ferrell, right? Is Will Ferrell is entirely dependent on who's in the movie with him. I think when I think of like what's the best Will Ferrell movie where Will Ferrell carries the movie, it's Elf.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jon Favreau movie, he is front and center. When you think of all the other best Will Ferrell movies,
Their ensembles.
Step Brothers as John C. Riley.
No, I was saying their
Hey, Lala.
ensembles.
Yeah.
I was saying their ensembles because like I won't say I just don't like him completely. He does have moments where that brand of comedy hits, and it hits so good that you're like, this is hilarious. Anchorman is one of them.
Night at the Roxbury.
Hilarious.
Old school.
Yeah, like he has his moments, but I feel like for me, he has more misses than he does hits when it comes to like his brand of comedy. But when he goes to a different side, like those Daddy's Home films for me, because he's playing such a different type of Will Ferrell, I thoroughly enjoy those movies because he's way more subdued and he's not like big and weird and spazzy, and like when he's more subdued in his comedy,
It's actually
enjoy it more.
it's Mark Wahlberg that's over the top in those films.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because he's more of a chill actor, like shoot 'em up, bang bang. I'm from Boston type of gruff. So when he's playing more of a like higher type of comedic, I enjoy that because it's against type for me.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of the opposite of Mark Wahlberg. Like, I think Mark Wahlberg for me is the same as Will Ferrell. It depends on who's in the movie with him. I mean, The Happening is terrible, and he's terrible in it. Ted 1, hilarious. Ted 2, not funny.
Yeah.
See, I'm weird. I didn't
Look
like
at
Ted 1.
Departed.
I like Ted 2 a
Ted
lot
was
more.
incredible. Really?
Okay, so Departed, he just played himself swearing a lot, and he got an Academy Award nod for that. I don't know. That's just...
I'm gonna disagree with what I just said. Let me walk back what I just said, right? Because I think I know what the issue is with these actors, at least for me personally.
Okay.
I think it's more who's directing these actors. Look at The Departed. Mark Wahlberg's awesome in that movie, I think. You look at The Happening, and M. Night Shyamalan was going through his low period. That's a terrible movie. You look at the other guys, Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. That's hilarious.
Yeah. You wouldn't think
I find the other guys hilarious.
but you wouldn't think they would work, but they would, but they do. It's weird.
You're talking about the two of my least favorite actors of all time, so
Yes.
that's why I don't like.
That's
I
why I'm
can't.
bringing it up,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. No, the one movie
I enjoy Mark Wahlberg. I enjoy him.
you do.
Because I've
See,
been a fan of
I
his
can't.
since, like, Fear. I've been a fan of his since Fear because I felt like I didn't see anybody that looked like him or acted like him.
No, because he was playing the guy that he kind of. I mean, no. Again, man, I'm really. If he ever gets a hold of me, man. Anyway, so I.
Because he had
Marky Mark and the Funky
like,
Bunch,
he was
huh?
like that,
Yeah, that's
like,
my era.
Like bad boy. It took him a minute to like grow and become a person.
Right.
And if you think about it, he was a child star that people like. You didn't really account him as a child star because he didn't start as a fetus, right? But he was kind of like a child star.
A teen star, yeah, in a sense.
Right, and made his way from.
I feel about Drake, but that's music, not even.
But
No, but he came from a music family. He had New Kids was his predecessor, his brother.
His brothers were.
Drake is Wheelchair Jimmy from Degrassi.
Yeah, exactly. But people forget. It's so crazy because he doesn't really act anymore. But people forget that Drake started as an actor. Like, I'm not saying that he didn't rap his whole life and then all that kind of stuff. Right. But the dude was an actor. So when I hear like younger people say stuff about Drake, like, man, like he want to be an actor so bad, he technically is.
It's like Alanis Morissette when she shows up in film. People are like, "What's she doing in a movie?" I'm like, "You know that she was on. You can't do that on television, right? Like when she was 13, 14 years old. Like, yeah she was an actress. Yeah.
Exactly.
Again, we got way away from Detective Pikachu there.
No, don't worry. Yeah, we're a pop culture number one, and then we'll discuss the movies too. Just because why not? If we're having a good time.
Who came here for
Huh?
Detective Pikachu, so
Oh, that's the reason you came here? Is that movie? Okay. Well, if people came here for that, they'll tell us. Nobody in the chat has been like, dude, why aren't we talking about the movie?
No, people come from our amazing personalities.
That's right. That's right. That's true. Not for mine, but for my guests and for my co-hosts. So, okay, Detective Pikachu. The story it breaks down pretty simple. I mean, there's a nice, whodunit kind of feel to it, which is nice. But if you have the word detective in your movie and you don't have a whodunit feel, I don't know what's going on. Your movie would lose its identity. I think that any movie with Bill Nye in it, Nye Nighy, not Bill Nye the Science Guy, is amazing.
Was Bill Nye in there? Like,
Bill Nye, yeah, the amazing British actor.
Isn't his name? I believe his name is pronounced Nahi though.
I've heard it both ways, and until I hear him say it, I'm gonna say Nye.
I agree with you. I agree.
Okay, that's just how I do it. For me, it's like reading a book and reading the word. You know, there's so many Star Wars words I've read but have never heard, because nobody said them. So to me, it's called Isalamari, but that's just me. That's a Star Wars thing, like way aside. Anyway, so the story's good for kids. I mean, this is definitely a kids movie without a doubt. There are a few themes.
I feel like there's both. It could be a kid and like a young adult type film. I think it blends that line of being like it's a Shrek type movie to me, where like
Okay.
kids like it, but adults can get into it too. They're not too bored sitting next to their kid. So.
No, that makes sense. 12, like we were talking about with last week, we were talking about Sonic, kind of covered that same line. So actually, I felt like Sonic could have shown up in this world, and same with Winnie the Pooh. I feel like the three of them could, Pikachu and we could have like a little.
That's a universal crossover. I wouldn't be mad at.
No, yeah, just get all these fluffy, cute ones together.
If studios
get a Smash Brothers movie.
Honestly,
yeah.
yes. If studios were smart, I never understood why studios like would just be like, oh, okay, Nintendo has how many games, or Xbox has like PlayStation has how many games. All right, let's just start make movies.
Right.
About these weird worlds. Like,
oh, that's the reason Ready Player One did well. Not because it's actually a good movie, but because there's so much crossover and pop culture candy that people are like, it's amazing, and I'm like, unravel that and watch and read the book first, and then tell me if that's a good movie.
No,
but here's the thing though, like what you're saying is the same with the new Space Jam.
Right.
I'm hyped in the new Space Jam. I mean, I had mine. I loved Lola Bunny growing up. That was one of my first really, but Lola Bunny still good.
No, and I think it's great, because there's all those little spoilers in it, all the little references, yeah. And I think LeBron's going to do great. I think he's going to do great.
So do I. And they have the guys from the Clockwork Orange are in this movie.
Right.
Like, they have Westeros from Game of Thrones is in this movie.
Yeah. If there's a Warner Brothers or an HBO product, it's in the film. They just said put them all in there. Let's do it. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. It's weird that Pennywise is hanging out at a basketball game, but okay.
I dig it, man. Let's
go. What was the best looking Pokemon in this movie? You said Mewtwo.
Yeah, I said Mewtwo. Beautiful.
How about you, Cole?
None of them are bad. They're all great looking. Pikachu definitely, I think, looks the best. He looks like a mouse. He's furry like a little rat, and I think Pikachu looks incredible in the movie.
He does look like a little electric mouse. I agree. They did a good job. Even the eyes have like that kind of a darker, mouse look rather than, like we have the whites of our eyes, and a lot of cartoon characters do. So I thought they did a good job on that. Let's see. So we have a 10 scale that we rate on, Cole, that I told you about. We can totally nail down. Oh, you got your numbers up? Okay. So I was like, hey, you got your numbers up. So the 10 scale, there are 10 scales that we can use. And I think the more complex the movie, the more into those scales we can get. But, we could talk about cinematography. We could talk about direction. But for kids' movies, I feel like, and no offense to the directors or the cinematographers, they did a great job. But it's not a lot to break apart because it's almost like they're using like the playbook for tropes when it comes to those kinds of things. Which is fine. It works. Cookie cutter stuff. I don't have a problem with cookie cutter stuff when it comes to kids movies. What I'm looking for in kids movies is quality, good message. Is it fun? Can I watch it more than once? Because are my kids going to drive me nuts with it? That kind of stuff. That's for me what I look for. But we do the 1 to 10. 1 to 10. 1 being you don't like the movie, you'll never really watch it, you'd never recommend it to anybody. 10 being you love the movie, you'd put it on constantly. Constantly being whatever you want to gauge that on. And
being like Need for Speed and 10 being like
Detective Pikachu. So
yeah,
we're gonna
exactly.
we can actually we're gonna leave it up to the guest's choice on what movie we hit next, because I know Cole's not happy about either. So,
I know, it's fine.
but let's get the ratings out of the way. So, Cole, what do you rate Detective Pikachu? 1 to 10.
Again, so like if 1 is the worst movie ever made, and 10 is
You would recommend
I
it?
don't know, 2000 Empire Strikes Back, I would give Detective Pikachu. I would give Detective Pikachu a solid 7.
Solid 7. I love that.
I will definitely show it to my kids. I'll definitely show it to my kids. I feel like the best kids movie ever made, in my opinion, is Into the Spider-Verse. 9 is probably like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But yeah, like comparing this movie to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, does a lot of the same mechanics well. I think it's not as entertaining to a kid as Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So that's what holds it back from being like a 9-10. So I'll give it a 7.
Lala, you said a 10. Is that correct? You're muted.
Shouldn't be.
Oh, there you are. Now I can hear you. I don't know what that was. That was weird.
Can you hear me? I was like, I shouldn't be muted. No, I was just doing like 1 to 10. That's all.
Oh, okay. I see.
That was my rating. I would give it a solid 8.
Hmm.
Because I think it's hard to judge like what's a kid's movie, right? Because I don't think anything released, if it's not like Dora the Explorer type of kid stuff, I never say an animation is just like a kid's movie. That's just my personal preference. Because or anything animated or anime or like Detective Pikachu is like kids movies, and like because even for me, Zootopia wasn't a child's movie. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
it was because of the themes within it. It was so adult, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
still did it in a way that children could understand. I think it's a fine line that these movies are like treading on. But I give it an 8 because I've watched it multiple times. Um, I would recommend it. I've recommended it to my family, to my friends. I feel like the theme of like family or being abandoned, not having a father, or finding that father again, or finding a purpose, because that was his whole thing of like trying to find a purpose. I think that's universal to like a lot of people,
hmm
and so yeah, I gave it a solid 8, and plus. You can't honestly, as much as I say, like Ryan Reynolds has a thing, like he plays Ryan Reynolds and everything, it's still good. You know what I mean? Like I can't. If it was bad, I'll be like, ugh, he needs to wrap this up. But like, he seems to be able to play himself in things, no matter the genre, and it somehow works. Sometimes, not all the time, because Blade Trinity. We're not gonna talk about that maybe later. But it works sometimes. So yeah, I'll give it a solid 8 because I just plus all the Pokemon are cute and wonderful.
Right. Okay. On that note, I'm gonna give it. Oh, hey, Captain Salty Dog. We've got a new chatter on board. Ahoy, Captain Salty Dog. How we doing? How we doing? Ryan Reynolds was less Ryan in voices, he says, and that makes sense. It doesn't feel as Ryan-y, Reynolds-y as it does when you see his face, because half of what you see with him is his facial expressions and the like goofy look he gets on his face. And you all know what goofy look I'm talking about because he gives that same one. Yeah. For whatever reason, Ryan Reynolds movie. Oh, Captain Salty Dog and Mr. Snidbits in the chat. Sorry, that makes me really excited. I'm going to give Mr. Salty Dog a shout out here if I can get my computer to cooperate with me. Shout out for Captain Salty Dog. Okay, there we go. I just thought of the movie from Ryan Reynolds, Voices. Has anybody ever seen that? You have gone silent. I hear nothing from either of you. That's weird.
Discord hates me.
No, you're good. Go ahead. I can hear you. Have either of you seen Voices?
Ryan Reynolds' voices?
Yeah. So do you guys enjoy dark comedies, like really dark comedies? Okay. If you don't mind like death jokes, then it's a dark thing. So yeah, Ryan Reynolds the voices. It's got some great actresses in it as well with him, but it's not a light movie. Like you'll laugh and then go, oh, why did I laugh at that? That's really bad. Maybe some people just laugh and go, I'm evil, but I don't know. I don't judge anybody's humor too harshly, maybe a little harshly.
This is giving me that. I'm looking it up right now. It's giving me what's that thing called? It was on FX with you could like talk to a bunny or something like that. I can't remember
Oh
the
yeah,
name.
the one with what's his name from True Blood and Criminal Minds or whatever. The guy that was in Man of
No,
Steel.
not that one. Not happy. Not happy. Um, I mean that's still very similar, but it's what's his name? Elijah Wood played like a person on FX that could talk to like a bunny or something. Like he saw like a full grown bunny.
No, so like Harvey, but real and dark.
Yeah, but real and dark. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what the voices is giving me. That's the vibe.
It is hard to hear them on that end. Okay, so that's good to know. I will turn them both up. Hold on, I have control of this.
Coming through any better?
No, I'll control you guys. Don't worry about it. I'll control you guys. That's not what I
I was
meant.
adjusting my mic.
Wow, I'm not trying to be controlled.
No, and I don't want to do that to you. Not in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you down. Don't worry about your mic. I'll get it on this end. Yeah.
Cool.
So okay. Go ahead.
Now, like the FX show was called Wilfred. He was kind of like mentally messed up, and he could see like a full grown like dog or something like that talk to him.
He could talk to his dog.
Yeah. It was like I loved it so much. It was great.
I know which one you're talking about, and his dog was played by a human.
Yes.
Wilfred. I remember that. So let me rate Detective Pikachu so we can move on to one of these other movies. Detective Pikachu, I'm gonna also give it an 8. I think it's definitely worth saying, to anybody, please watch this. I definitely watched it again this time, excited to watch it. And as soon as the movie opened and they were dealing with the Cubone, I was like, I remember why I wanted to watch this again. This is fantastic. The Pokemon are all I needed. I mean, they could have literally done another 2 hours of just wandering around the city and the just give me a couple episodes of Pokemon, but in this world, that's just quick. Give me a little Team Rocket.
Blade Runner. Let's do it.
You can give me like the battles because that battle scene was pretty dope. So
oh
if you wanted to
yes.
make a movie in that universe of like a battle scene or them training or whatever, I think that would be great. I would watch that.
The Gyarados
Yep.
was amazing. The Magikarp was amazing, because that plays, the first 100 Pokemon I know pretty well. So like I know the kind of jokes going back to things like that and some of those early what we call memes, I guess nowadays, of course, but like Sea King memes, if you will, back in the day. Anyway.
Card meme.
So overall, I think we all say watch it. If you've never seen Detective Pikachu, I think we all say you should check it out. With that being said, we're going to move on to Cole's next choice, either Assassin's Creed or Need for Speed.
It's my choice.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to review next?
You know what? Let's pull this one off because this one hurt me personally. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed.
All right.
Because I love Michael Fassbender.
Who doesn't?
I think he's a great Magneto. He's good in almost everything he's in. Are you trying to say something,
Nope.
Eric?
No, I'm just agreeing about, just the host mumbling along with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Fassbender, I think he's a great Magneto. In fact, I think he was the best part of Prometheus and those movies. And I loved Assassin's Creed. I played the first 3 games all the way through, and then I never got to 4. But those games. So when they announced Assassin's Creed as a movie, as a gamer, I was like, let's break this curse of bad video game movies. And then it was terrible. It was terrible. Are you guys familiar with the games?
Yes.
So, real quick on that, I worked at a video game store for a lot of my life and in movie stores for a lot of my life. So, I'm really familiar with games, even when I don't like them. And I'll just be very frank. I think Assassin's Creed is one of the most boring series ever coded. Uh, I liked 1 and 2 some, and then I think it was just Call of Duty style, make money every year. But that's just me.
I agree. I agree with you on that. Uh, so in the games, I guess spoiler ish, the Animus, the machine that they jack Desmond, the main character in the game, who's a you know mixed character, they Animus, and then they have like memories in their DNA, which allows him to live out those memories of someone in his ancestry related to some of the assassins who knew where the Holy Grail was or whatever.
The apple.
You
The apple
find
of
out,
Eden,
okay,
man.
the
The
main
apple of Eden.
Yes, that's right. The apple of Eden. You find out in this movie, like, it's not Desmond. His name is Clay. He's a white dude. The Animus is not like a Matrix jack-in mechanic. It's this weird, giant VR playroom, and he's actually acting out the physical motions he's doing when he's in his memories, which is way more complicated than it needed to be.
So, can I?
Like
I would love to step
Sorry,
in on
go
this
ahead.
part. No, and so from a person's perspective who doesn't like the games very much, so like the story's loose, very loose in my head. I saw them put the couch in there, so I was like, okay, they noted the look of the Animus. That he woke up on the Animus, if you will. But then they moved away from that into that giant room. But from a movie perspective, if I'm a cinematographer, a bed in a white room isn't very cinematic. Not for a video game movie.
You don't have to show him doing all the
At all.
movements and fighting in the real world. Just stay where the good stuff is. Stay in the medieval era.
But
And this brings me to my other big issue with the movie.
Go ahead.
Have you seen, because it was directed by the same guy who did Taken 2 and Taken 3.
Ouch.
And everyone, there's a funny clip. There's a funny clip on the internet where they show Liam Neeson in Taken 2 or 3 jumping over a fence. And there are, no joke, like a dozen cuts between when he starts the climb and he finishes jumping over the fence. It's like cut. It's that Jason Bourne cut thing. And all the action in this movie is like that. And it's disorienting. And then when you watch, again, I'm personally offended by this movie. When you watch the behind the scenes, Michael Fassbender went through stuntman training and learned how to do a lot of this fights. And they decided, instead of doing one long cutscene or one long scene of fighting, they decided to do 40 individual cuts for 3 kicks and a jump. It's obnoxious. The movie looks better behind the scenes than it does on screen.
Okay, so let's I'm going to continue that theme. So I watch my movies on an iPad, which means I got glare almost every time I watch a movie. So I have to find ways around it. But when a movie is so dark that if I turn my iPad's like brightness to max and I still can't see your freaking movie in a dimly lit room, you need to turn some lights on when you're doing your movie, because I couldn't see anybody's faces for the first scene, and anytime they were doing a dark scene, especially in 1492. That's where I was just like, wow, this is really annoying. And for whatever reason, the subtitles would constantly repeat the Spanish subtitles back to me, so I had 2 sets of subtitles. Never seen a movie do that before, so that was obnoxious. That could have just been Voodoo's problem. But I watch every movie with subtitles now because you can catch like an extra 10% of story from subtitles you won't even know you missed. Whether it be the radio playing in the background or characters speaking too low to normally hear, but you get to hear and pick up on what they're saying. It'll tell you the name of characters that are speaking off screen sometimes, so you don't get their name until later or rarely at all. There's a lot of really great benefits to the subtitles.
Makes sense.
It's annoying to most people at first, but have a baby and have to be quiet all the time, and you'll get used to them.
makes sense. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I have a 77-inch LG CX that I watch my stuff on. So, I got it in 4K and all that. But
It still looked like crap. It's Angel.
it did. But can we address this also? Because
Oh,
I
please.
don't remember this being in the game. But his name was Clay, right? Or Cal? I think it's Cal. Cal, the main character, is a zombie. He dies in the beginning of the movie.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, because it's in the first 20 minutes.
Spoiler.
I guess.
No, dude.
It's like
that movie had no identity.
It didn't.
But he dies. He was killed, court-ordered death. He was killed because he murdered somebody. He was a pimp, by the way.
A pimp, yeah. I didn't know you could go to death row for killing a pimp. But
was so stupid. And then they revive him just to put him in this Animus thing. Why? Why is any of that in the movie? Mattered. This movie personally offends me because it's not Assassin's Creed. It's not Assassin's Creed.
No, so this
is Michael Fassbender plays virtual reality with his friends. Zombie
in
Michael
1492. So this goes right in the same line as Godzilla, the 1998 film. That's not a Godzilla film. That's called Godzilla, but it should just be called Giant Lizard. And then we had another one we just talked about. Was it last week we were talking about it? The Resident Evil movie, where they should have just called it, Spooky Underground Lair, and just taken the Resident Evil stuff off of it. No, but this movie fits right in that same vein where it's like, it's nothing like the video game. And that's something we didn't do. Pokemon, the Detective Pikachu movie, is close to the video game in a sense because they're out there capturing, there's the battles, you get all those flavors from the game in the movie. And we didn't even touch on that, and we should have, because we're doing video game movies. So part of these movies is how much do they remind you of the game? How fun is it to watch this and enjoy it like the game? Do you get reminded of it? And Cole, I can tell you sat there and went, what? And got mad, which is fine, and totally. I don't like the game, so for me it was a little more enjoyable, weirdly. Not that it was good, because no, I'm not claiming that it was good, but I will claim that there were moments where I was like, intriguing concept, intriguing thought, intriguing idea. And of course, most of the actors are fantastic. Jeremy Irons is freaking dope. I love him. But even he couldn't save this movie.
Fassbender's great in it. It's just everything around the actor terrible. This is a director's fault. Okay, this is not.
We're just gonna blame
It's like the Star Wars prequel. Right? It is though. I mean, you look at the Star Wars prequels. Hayden Christensen is a great actor. Okay, you watch what's that? Shattered Glass, I think, or
that's right.
Life.
Or Life is a House.
He's a great actor. He's a great actor. He was just given terrible dialogue, and it made the movie feel. Ewan McGregor is a great actor. The movies just feel bad because the dialogue and the script is terrible.
Not the younglings. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Sand. It's rough. It's coarse. It gets everywhere. And
that's true though. That's universally true. Like, you can't get down on Lucas for being like sand. It's coarse. It's rough. It gets everywhere.
Not defending that line right now.
I've lived on the West Coast a long time, so beaches have been a huge part of my life, and I related to that line completely. Been on a lot of beaches, so I don't know, that's just me. No, those movies are terrible. We're not going to defend them. Lala, let's hear more about what you think about Assassin's Creed.
Okay, so like Cole, I play the games, and technically I still play the game because Switch has acquired them, so I'm able to play them. This movie was absolute trash. Because the thing people get wrong, I feel like the thing that people get wrong with trying to take a game and turn it into a movie is they just don't take the game itself. Right? They try to inject their own vision, because they laid a original story, like an original screenplay on top of a game that already has like a built-in story, right? So if you would have just took any Assassin's Creed game, any game, and just took that main character and followed them through missions that we played throughout the game, but just made it a through line story, it would have been great. It would have been a solid, because I think that's what everybody who played these games wanted to see. They just wanted to see the character go through missions, kill people, be stealth, and then kind of come out at the end. So you might have had like a little original at the beginning, a little original at the end to like clean it up. But the middle, the whole meat of it is literally in the game.
Right.
It's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan not taking the blueprint and making Avatar: The Last Airbender the trashiest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, but I will, because like, here's my thing. You had Michael Fassbender, Marion Cotillard, Jeremy Irons, Brendan Gleeson, Michael K. Williams. You had really, really good actors in this film, and they were wasted because you wanted to make a quick buck, which you kind of did, because the budget was like 125. You made 240, a little over 240. So I was so excited to see like this world that I played come to life, and you gave me things that I didn't need, right?
You mean like giant sweeping shots of a kid riding a bike?
Yes, why do I need that? Why?
Because the eagle's flying up there, and we need to see it from the eagle's perspective, or hawk,
and
or
then
whatever
let's talk about the worst thing to me in this movie is that instead of just giving us what's his name, Aguilar de Nera, I believe his name is, instead of just giving us him and taking us back to 1492 and putting us in this world that we've never experienced before, you make it so his genetic descendant eventually becomes him. Not only does he take his memories, his combat training, but it's called like the bleeding effect or something like that.
Bleeding effect, yeah.
And because he's hooked up to the animus so much, spoiler alert, because he's hooked up to the animus so much that the memories of his descendant starts to become his. So all that combat that his descendant gets, he just now knows off of muscle memory, I guess, or because it's in his DNA. Like, I was just like, I can see, I always say this, I'll probably say this forever as long as we're doing this show. I can see what they were trying to do. It just wasn't done well. Like, I can see, like, to me, it's a pretty decent idea to have, like, because you try to make it in this world. You took a descendant, and usually they say things that our descendants have go down through our DNA. That makes sense, right? So, okay, we created a machine that can tap into your DNA. They could probably help you relive some stuff. Okay, that kind of makes sense, but it's sci-fi. I'm going to take it. That's fine. But nobody cares that his mama died. I'm sorry. Like, nobody cares that his mama got killed as a child.
I want to talk about that. So for me, a movie, movies have to have. Sorry, I'm so sorry. The camera got all funky. Okay, the movie got. It was like this. It was just freaking flat across, right? And if a movie has no notes, if it's just flat, I get really bored. Just give me some reason to care. Tell me who the kid is a little more before you kill his mom. Because if you don't tell me who he is and somebody's mom just got killed, like, that sucks, but it's like hearing it on the news. As much as it sucks and as much as my empathy will go out to people, it's limited when I know nothing other than a punchline or a headline. It doesn't hit as hard. So give me a reason. Don't give me the first 10 minutes of them in 1492, which isn't that relevant. You can give me that in the prologue and a little bit more text, and then go to give me that 10 minutes with the kid and explain to me why his parents are where they are, and don't, you still don't have to explain his lineage. We can get to know him at the arcade or something. All he did was jump off a building and fell.
Show me the connection between him and his parents, or show me the connection between him and his mom, because she dies and I'm just like, oh, that's messed up that he had to see her die.
Right.
Like,
could have been his aunt. Could have been the maid.
You think about Colombiana, right? Colombiana, they showed that she was the apple of her parents' world, that they loved her so much that they would do anything for her. So when they died and the way that they died, you felt for her character, so it pushed you through to see where she would end up, right?
Right.
This one, I was just like, all right, bro, And then it's like you don't give us enough for us to know that he's a descendant for us to care that this corporation faked his death. Like we don't care that he's genetically okay. They could have gave us something in the beginning where his father was telling him his lineage and be like, you were descendants of this, and why he's talking, show us that 1492 flashback. Show us that this is the person. Like, give us something. It was just like I said, I can see what they were trying to do. They just did not do it well.
And it was almost 2 hours anyway. They had plenty of time to get it done and didn't.
My
Cole, go ahead.
I just want to say, if you want to fix this movie, because like I said, if you watch behind the scenes movie, it's better behind the scenes than it is on screen. But if you fix this movie, you do it. Okay. And if I bury my video game experience and I accept this as a news story, okay, how do you do it? You cut out 90% of the modern day stuff. You can keep Cal as a criminal. You can just have what's it, Abstergo, I think is the company.
Yeah.
You can go and you can use this as commentary on like the 13th Amendment and corporate issues and you know basically slavery, which is what happens with the 13th Amendment. You can just have them go. In fact, if you really want to make a statement, just make the main character Desmond from the games.
Oh my
Leave
gosh.
him a mixed kid or an African American man, and have Ergo go, hey, through the Human Genome Project, which is a real thing, we've found that this person was a relative to this person, and with our animus technology, we're going to bail him out of prison and force him to do this. And they just do that, and they hook him up to the machine, and now you're in 1492. And if you really want to fix it, you can introduce a little bit of the bleeding effects, where the past world introduces a new world, and when he escapes the whole thing at the end of the movie, have him take a leap of faith, because that was one of the best parts of the movie, is when they do the leap of faith. Have him be like, oh, the bleeding effect, I'm leaping into a pile of hay, taking a leap of faith out of the Abstergo facility, and have him, because he doesn't do it, so have him actually jump off the building and escape. You set yourself up for a sequel that someone might give a shit about.
No
You got a guy
sequels, just like the games.
Well, they
I
tried,
think, I don't know.
tried to set up
The way that they ended it to the point where they're like, oh, it's gonna be another one. We don't care. We don't
No,
want
we
it.
don't.
No one cares.
No one cares.
So
We don't want that.
I do want to speak to the whitewashing that they did with Michael Fassbender, you know, being a British actor. And it's interesting because this is like they were whitewashing, but they knew they could get away with it in a way because they were able to say, well, it's been 5 generations or 10 generations. And since it's been 10 generations or 15 or whatever, a Spaniard, you know, could have easily turned into what would have been looked as an Anglo-European. That's not impossible at all. But the problem is, where I think that the problem starts to fall down, is that the rest of the characters, the supporting cast, were all people of color. So you get, except for like his father and stuff. So all the supporting cast were people of color, and yet the one main character who should have been naturally potentially a person of color. So it starts to fall apart. So like it's both. Like they tried to cover their tracks, but then they didn't do it.
Also,
I don't know.
It's very Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. But
you look at a real life example. Thomas Jefferson's one of Thomas Jefferson's living descendants, maybe his only one or most direct descendant, is a black African American man.
Right.
Thomas Jefferson, the famous slave-owning U.S. president, one of the founding fathers, to a black man in 200 years. So in this movie, there's no reason it couldn't just be a black man or Desmond like it is in the source
Agreed.
material.
It could have been anybody.
Yeah, but it would just, for me, it would just make more sense because most of this, if we're gonna go back that far, right? 9 times out of 10, because of slavery, black people stayed with black people, or Spanish people stayed with Spanish people. So that blood wouldn't have gotten that diluted to the point that, oh, we're in the 21st century and now he's white. It wouldn't have gotten that diluted.
That's fair.
Just saying.
That's fair.
Is all I'm saying. But, you know.
I just, because I know Spaniards are considered, you know, as Anglo-Europeans in a lot of ways, just like Italians and Greeks are as well. And so there is a difference between Spanish folks and Hispanic or Latin X folks, in the sense that there's a, you know, the whole native aspect of folks that live in this hemisphere, if you will. And so I think that they tried to excuse it, like I was saying, and I agree with you. I still think they shouldn't have. There was no reason to. They're just not giving more actors a try. It really boils down to they're like, well, Fassbender performs. We know that if we put his name on a movie, it'll do well and sell tickets. Put Jeremy Irons in it. And that's what they did.
But they needed somebody with for me, the complexion of like a Antonio Banderas or like a Javier Bardem or something like that. Like they were like, what's a white man that can possibly be close? Because if you look at Michael Fassbender, he does have like olivey skin. He's not like pasty white, so he does like have like olivey skin with dark hair. And they were like, there it is. He can pass at least a little bit. And I was just which is sad. They could have found somebody else, but it is what it is.
No, it is, and it's hopefully
They
they'll
neglect the source material.
They'll move away from it.
Why neglect the source material? But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Assassin's Creed.
It's like I have no more. I'm done.
This is why we do asides, because when movies suck, we need to have some off the rails talk in order to cover the ground. But for me, there were aesthetics to this film that I thought were pleasing. I liked the way that they put together the Spanish world. I think that it was really great in detail. If you look at the priest that was running the whole ceremony, he had the actual, garb on his head, even though he was bald, and he looked authentic to the time in his garb, and so did everybody else. I think that did a good job there. Salty Dog mentioned in the chat, he was mentioning Prince of Persia, and I kept getting kind of senses of Prince of Persia from this, or like they were trying, like that was their inspiration, but it didn't work. I definitely felt like
Prince of Persia is your inspiration.
I still think that was a fun movie. Again, fully whitewashed for no reason. Across the board. Again, I like Jake Gyllenhaal, but there was no reason to do that other than, well,
they put dirt on him and it was like, let's brown him up. They just threw dirt on him as makeup.
Okay, I'm reading the chat and that's hilarious. Anyway, so the thing is that they take these great actors and we're still getting that John Wayne effect. We're still getting that Jerry Lewis effect still 2020, 2021. And hopefully now, I have to say that, I know, and again, we're going to thoroughly avoid spoilers here, but I know that Lala knows that Falcon and the Winter Soldier has themes in it that are heavy duty. And what's nice is they're finally reversing back, all the things that Disney has done, like things like Prince of Persia, they're finally starting to at least try. And I think that's, at least. Yeah, no. There's so many that are really, really bad. And so it's nice to see them trying.
To me, well, I feel like Disney has a long-standing history of being so racist. As much as I love Disney, I'm a Disney girl. I've loved Disney since I was a child because I was watching all the good stuff and kind of like not paying attention to like, Song from the South type stuff that they were doing. Even though, even like cartoons were like bad, like they were blackfacing in cartoons and stuff like that. But I feel like Disney has gotten better and continues to separate themselves from what their image used to be, which is what I need humans to do, right? Like just because you are one way doesn't mean you have to stay that way. You can learn and grow and immerse yourself with different people, cultures, and learn and just better yourself. And I feel like Disney is a prime example of that, especially now with like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're touching on stuff I don't know at all, but I've seen enough through media to know that they're touching on things that are making people so uncomfortable that I'm absolutely here for it. Like, absolutely here for it. Because people need to be a little uncomfortable so we can get to the root of some stuff and then, we can move on from it.
I agree. And I'm really anxious for you to watch it so that I can hear your take, because I want to hear your take. So when you get a chance. If you wait until Friday, you'll be able to watch all 6 episodes together.
And that's what I'm already like in this rabbit hole of having watched anything. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till it finishes.
True.
And then I'll just binge it.
That's awesome. No, and maybe we'll do an extra time next weekend. Well, I don't know. You think you can get it all done before the show? Maybe we can do like an extra hour on it. Maybe.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. maybe
6
we can.
episodes, but
Yeah, so it is
But
almost
also
6 hours.
but follow my YouTube because I will be doing like reaction videos to it, like I have been doing for WandaVision.
Nice.
So I'll also have my take there, and then I could bring my take to the stream as well.
Heck yeah.
just what, because I'm not going to spoil anything for you when it comes to Falcon and Winter Soldier or any of that. But I'm a lifelong like comic book fan and superhero fan. What you're seeing now with these people who have, for some reason, uh, choose to defend John Walker and his actions in the show.
Yeah.
I'm not, but these people are being purposefully ignorant. I can't really talk about what I do for a living, EA stuff, but part of my job is understanding why people believe what they believe and then trying to change their mind, communicating across biases. And what's happening there is either don't know the source material because Marvel Comics has been political since its conception.
Comic
Captain
books
America #1, he's
have been political
face.
since their inception.
I'm just keeping it in Marvel because that was the
Yeah,
topic.
no, I agree. But yeah, you're right.
America is punching Hitler in the face.
Mhm.
Doesn't get more political than that.
Right.
Yeah.
The X-Men were literally created by Stan Lee, the civil rights movement,
Yeah.
children. He said, we need people who are different, trying to become equal with the rest of society, with the majority. We need to figure out how to do that to a younger audience. And so that's why the X-Men were created. That's why you had mutants, which was an allegory for black people of color. And now in the modern day where we have things like police brutality and just systemic racism, that being communicated through the soldier. And the people who see that are actively choosing not to see that because and it's harder now in the modern day. It's harder now in the modern day for people to change because everyone has a public persona. You go back just 20 years ago to 2004, and people had their persona in their home and their persona at church or at work. Or
Church or work, yeah, that's
you have
true.
an online persona. So now you have a Facebook page with a decade's worth of opinions and bad ideas and dumb statuses on, right? And when you have to watch what we've seen in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you have to admit to being on the side of the right side. When you have to say, yeah, of course I'm on the same side as Falcon and Winter Soldier, that actively goes against a lot of these people's opinions that they've expressed through their online persona. Instead of doing that, they're just
that online persona though gives people that anonymity that allows them to be total turds, and that's something that's, if you were to sit in a room, this is kind of why I wish there were still bars and movie theaters the way there used to be, because people would sit around and watch television together. They would watch big events in the bar together, and it was a big thing. That's why I'm glad they're doing these one-off episodes every week instead of doing what Netflix does, which is drop everything at once, and then you're like, okay, we talked about the whole show, the week's over, moving on. That's boring to me. I would rather go for 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is, and then enjoy 2 or 3 months of talking about this show and the implications and breaking down each episode, because we wouldn't get the detail of analysis, and probably not even, it wouldn't be as effective as a show to get that point across if we didn't have the time to discuss it. We need time to process this.
That's what TV used to be before everything went to streaming. Like TV was, you got your show once a week for like 2 months, with a break in there somewhere, like half a year or something like that, with a break in there somewhere, a little hiatus that you can discuss with people. Like, as much as I love Netflix, they have taken some of the mystery or some of the wonder out of watching television, because to sit here and isolate myself for 12 to 13 episodes of a show
and just eat up a whole show and then disappear into something else, like that's a lot. That's a lot to sit there for like a 45-minute, 30 to 45-minute like episode. To sit there and just binge it and watch it. It's something about going back to basics and being like excited for Friday to come. Because that's when WandaVision's coming on, or that's when Falcon and Winter, like it's something about that that I think Disney, Marvel were very smart about when they decided to do like these one-off TV shows that connect their universes to be like, yo, we just drop it once a week.
I
That's
agree.
what shows.
I agree.
The person who put it best was Robin Williams. We're a bit young for what I'm about to mention, but Robin Williams was
I'm
one
old.
of my heroes growing up. I had a Pokemon and everything.
Stop
Oh,
it.
so when I say Robin Williams, right, what is the role that comes to mind?
Mork and Mindy.
Here you go. So you are the perfect age.
Yeah, no, I'm old.
Robin
That's what I'm trying to
Williams-
say. I remember him on Mork and Mindy for a long time. Popeye, you know, like
Yeah, you know, like whatever that handshake was. But
Nanu Nanu. It was
Robin
Spock's. It
Williams
was
was
Spock's handshake,
Hmm.
right? Spock's lived long and prosper, but turned into a handshake. That's all it is. By the way,
He's like,
Robin
"Get it right,
Williams was
Cole."
asked, you know, being a celebrity. This actually Kevin Smith tells this story. He was working with Robin Williams, and he asked him what he gets all the time because the two of them were trying to have lunch, and there was a whole just ocean of people waiting outside to see Robin Williams. He said it's been 40 or 50 years, and it's still Mork and Mindy. Why is because when you're on a television show, at least to be, you're in people's homes.
right?
There every week. You become a part of the family, become a part of their schedule. And so 40 years in the future, and this guy did Aladdin, Dead Poet Society, Flubber,
Mrs. Doubtfire.
you know, all these amazing movies. The one that he got called out on the most was Mork and Mindy.
Right.
Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire, Good Morning Vietnam,
And that's
Jumanji,
because TV shows go farther sometimes, or most of the times than movies do, right? Like certain countries can be like, I don't want this movie to be played here, and that's a whole country or a whole whatever that did not see your film. But it's TV shows that are like in Saudi Arabia, people watching like old school, like this is why people, and then when people come and visit America or they see their celebrity, like they've watched these TV shows, like they've also, some of them are behind us, so the stuff that we're getting stuff so fast, they get stuff kind of late or vice versa. But like TV stretches so far that people can be watching Happy Days for the first time right now in a country.
you're watching it right now. You're watching WandaVision.
Marvelite.
Which literally lives it.
Marvelite just showed up in the chat, by the way, Lala. He was our guest last week, and just thought you should say hi, possibly. And by the way, if you don't follow Cole, if you don't follow Marvelite and you like Marvel stuff, he does great weekly, or not weekly, he does, well, not daily, but there are several times a week he'll do Marvel Easter eggs that he does that are great callbacks, and there's some that I've absolutely heard of, and then some that I'm like, oh dude, I did not know that. Like the one about James Gunn's cat, or dog. Yeah, anyway, great one, but I didn't know that one. So again, please go follow him on TikTok and here on Twitch, because he also does stream. He streams games, Minecraft. He does chatting, Star Wars games. If it's nerdy, Marvelite does it. So, yeah. We were talking about Assassin's Creed. We kind of quickly trashed it and moved on. So, but we should go ahead and we are glad to have you here, Marvelite. Very, very glad to have you here. Thank you very much for stopping by, and everyone else too. I wish Captain Salty Dog was able to. I know he usually is just listening, and I don't want to call him out like that. Same with Joker, but yeah, glad to have everybody here. But we should at least give a rating on this, and what I would like to do on this one. And we didn't do this last with Detective Pikachu, and we should have, but we'll skip it for that one, because I think this would have been a very similar answer for us for that one. And we're going to do what we did last week, Lala. We're going to do, what would your 12-year-old self say? And then what would you say now as an adult? And I think Detective Pikachu, we might all agree, was probably a similar rating, if not a little higher. So no, go ahead, Lala, please. Why don't you go ahead and rate Assassin's Creed as you would as an adult and as you would as a 12-year-old? We lost the camera feed for some reason, Lala.
I don't know. So I'll say as a 12-year-old, I think 12-year-old me would. I was very sophisticated as a 12-year-old. When it came to movies, honestly, when it came to movies, anything else, I was a child. 12-year-old me would say I would probably give this like a solid 7 if I was a kid, like a solid 7. I think as 12-year-old me will give it like a solid 7. Because for the most part, I think my 12-year-old brain would focus more on the action than like the actual story. I would bypass the story. I probably put on the action. 34-year-old me, I would give this a 4.
Hmm?
I would give it a 4. I would go lower, but I like Michael Fassbender. I like a lot of the actors that's in it. So the reason why it's a 4 is because I like them, and I think that if they had a better plot and better direction, it would be better. So yeah.
Real quick before Cole gives his opinion, do you think they could recut this film, Lala, into a better film?
No. I think they would have to scrap this idea and come up with a new idea that's close and more related to the game.
Fair.
Honestly.
Fair. Cole, let's hear it.
Sorry.
No, please say it again. I didn't hear you.
What's his name? The director of this is Justin Kurzel. I don't need a Kurzel cut. So no.
No Kurzel cut. That's fair.
No.
That's fair. Cole, let's hear it. I know I heard a 1 out of you earlier, but I want to know if that's a solid one or like a loose one.
For Need for Speed, I gave the 1 for.
Oh, okay.
It's hilarious.
My Siri decided to talk.
Me, let me think.
Go ahead.
What year was I 12? 12-year-old me would give this probably a 5. The story is nonsense and damn near incomprehensible, so I would just be going off the action alone, which is almost incomprehensible because of the way it's cut. And I was, kind of stupid and easily impressed. So
that's why we give the 12-year-old rating. So. That's fair.
Exactly. As an adult, this gets 2. I mean, you have a modern version of whitewashing in it. It's incomprehensible action-wise as an adult. I mean, I'm on Capra and I still almost had a seizure. This is not Assassin's Creed. It's the Assassin's Creed label on other sci-fi junk. It doesn't use the source material hardly at all. It just borrows the Amos mechanic and maybe the timeline, and that's it. I mean, there's
some of the feel, the look, maybe
it a 2. Yeah, and that's okay. So I'll give it a 3. Right? I'll give it 1 for costume design and 2 for acting because the actors are all great actors. They're just in a bad spot. Like they're just at the whim of the studio and the director in this one. And you asked her, could you recut this into a better movie? Yeah, you could go from a 3 to a 4 if you just used the long takes of the action scenes that they had in the behind the scenes footage. If you just did that, the action scenes get instantly better. But that fix the movie. It just makes it a little better,
That's fair.
So yeah.
So
I stand on it, man. 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. That's a fair rating. So there was one thing I noted in the film that I thought was really, really great. And then I'm going to get to what Marvelite just said in the chat here in just a second. For me, I watched Michael Fassbender do a really great job of doing all of those stunts twice. Because he did them all in the Animus section in the white suit that he was wearing or the white outfit. And then he did them all as there I go again. terrible with names, but he does it, as his ancestor as well. And they do cut a few times, which I thought for a couple of these cuts were good because he did such a good job with his own choreography that when they cut to the next scene, it looked right. The angle was right. The movement was right. The flow was right. But I agree. There were so many scenes where we're supposed to see them hiding, and I don't care that they're hiding in the crowd. I'm not thrilled. I don't feel that like, oh, they're going to get them feeling that you're supposed to feel. I don't know. There's no buildup. So the movie is heartless, I guess I would say. It gave me no emotion. And a heartless movie is hard to give a rating to. Would I tell anybody to ever watch this movie? No. I would say don't waste your time. Don't rent it. Don't, like, if a friend has you over and you're drinking and smoking and you want to make fun of it, maybe.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Drinking meth.
That's
outside naked.
no, that's a
Better and more
hard.
productive time.
Like if I was high, I'll give this movie a hard 8.
There's some good visuals.
Because I would die laughing at like everything, and if
Right.
I can giggle and laugh, like you could get me, but I had to be high for it.
Right.
I had to be high.
Right. But as far as a production goes, as far as a film, like I said, it's flatline. The movie Flatliners has far more notes and actually ups and downs. This one should have been called Flatliners because it is just a dead film. It has no emotion because they don't give you anything from the get-go. They give you 3 stories shoved together with a big, beautiful, wide shot of a hawk, and you're supposed to know what the hell's going on. I'm gonna give it a 1.5.
I respect that.
Fair.
I respect that.
I had to watch it. It felt like homework.
I love it so much.
Was homework.
I
for me.
knew-
Thanks.
I knew the movie was trash. Why do you think I picked it? Because I wanted to make him watch it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I wanted to make him watch it.
So yeah,
Also, can I just say one more thing about this movie?
Sure.
Real quick. I really felt like, because I've talked to Mr. Snippets about this before. I've talked to him about this before. Snitty B. I talked to him about this before, that I don't like it when studios treat their fans like they're stupid. So, or any type of corporation treat their fans like they're stupid, because we're the ones that's giving you our money. This is why you can pay everybody. This is why you can hire everybody, because we pretty much give you our money back, right? You get your money back from us. You took something that people liked, and instead of giving us what we wanted, you peppered in things that we liked, like the Assassin's League, the Animus, the culture, like the clothing, like the going into the world. You peppered it with a shitty story, and thought that we would accept it because it had the moniker Assassin's Creed. It's very similar to the CW creating a charm show that isn't charm.
right.
So, and then think people are going to be like, but it's charm. No, it's not. You really just, it's like a slap in the face to fans. And I don't appreciate it. And because I was super excited, to me, and it's the same instance as like Hitman. I played the Hitman video game.
Oh,
And you came out with the film, and I love Timothy Oliphant. I thought he looked perfect as the agent. Like, he looked spot on to me. And the movie was like a dumpster fire.
Timothy fantastic.
Oh, you can move on.
Bring back Santa Clarita Diet. Seriously.
Okay,
I'll
now
take
that show deserves a season 4 more than any show ever. That's just me.
And it's not going to get one.
I know. I'm so angry. Nathan Fillion and all the wonderfulness in that last episode. I was like, yes, where is this going?
Yeah.
And now I hate Netflix. I've actually,
Honestly,
since that happened, I've pulled away from Netflix because they did that to me like for the 5th time. Like 3 seasons, y'all. 3.
Netflix is the Fox.
They are the modern Fox.
Fox cancels everything that I love, and I'm just like, but the ratings were great. Nobody asked you to do that. Like,
Yeah.
This is
No, but
early
because they
competition.
weren't, so this is, I hate to be this person, but that's modern capitalism. Because the numbers weren't as good as last year, cancel. Because we're not going to be in the black, if you will, if you're doing accountant talk. Because we're not going to be in the black, we're going to be in the red. It's not worth it. I'm like, that you can't use last year's numbers as a means to produce art, y'all. Like, don't do that. Like, I understand you need to make money. Please do. I'm willing to give you my money for this stuff. I love
At
it.
least for me, I'm very OCD to a certain point. Give me finish it in some way. like finish it in some way. Like what is it, FX or Sci-Fi? One of them. I think it was FX. I don't know. But it was a TV show called Alphas.
Yeah, 2 seasons.
2 seasons, and the second season ended on the craziest cliffhanger of all time.
Yep.
It was such a huge cliffhanger that the Big Bang Theory brought it up in their TV show. It was a whole episode about how Sheldon was mad that they canceled Alphas on a cliffhanger that was so great that he was calling everywhere to at least for somebody to tell him how it would have finished. And I was hoping he would.
I want to mention this real quick.
He never did.
Snidbits. You mentioned Nathan Fillion in Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah.
Do you know Fillion in the last season?
Say what?
The talking head at the end of the last season?
Yeah.
That wasn't Nathan Fillion.
No, I know it wasn't. I know they took him out of the show. But my point is the character, everything that was going on with the show. I loved everything to do with that show.
Nathan Fillion is a man that everybody wants to work with. He had his own little TV show, The Rookie.
I want to meet that guy. I like that guy.
I agree.
I swear my pretty Flora little blonde that I will meet that guy one of these days, but that's just me.
While we're talking about video game movies, I want to mention, did you guys see the Nathan Fillion Uncharted short?
Yeah.
I did not.
Uncharted, best video games on PlayStation. Nathan Fillion, because fans had been asking for Nathan Fillion to play what's his name from Uncharted?
Nathan Drake.
Out of his way to produce and make his own short Uncharted like action movie. Mm-hmm. Inspired the Uncharted movie we're gonna get doesn't have Nathan Fillion in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what character Nathan Fillion plays best? And most people would say Malcolm Reynolds, and I would probably on principle agree, but I actually think he plays the best Green Lantern we've ever had.
Honestly, I agree. I honestly wouldn't mind him being like a live action Green Lantern.
Well, we're gonna get him in Suicide Squad as No Arms Man, or No Arms Boy, which is gonna be great.
That's gonna be great.
So I'm excited about that.
That's gonna be awesome.
Oh, and next month.
But I get why they didn't have Nathan Fillion be Nathan Drake. Nathan. Anyway, I'm a child.
He's like me. He's gained a bit of weight.
No, he hasn't. No, he's lost a lot of weight. If you see him in The Rookie,
he lost it back again? Because
he's back to like first season Castle. Like he's lost some weight.
Okay, I was gonna say in Castle he blew up
towards
a little bit.
Castle, man, he was eating shrimp and steak. And
they were just like, "Sir, would you like your table with some more surf and turf?" Like that's how he was eating.
Exactly, that money was rolling in nice. But I think the reason why is. And they won't ever say it out loud because he's a man, but they'll say it out loud if it was a woman. But I think the reason why they did that because they want Uncharted to be like a franchise, like anything else.
Right.
And Tom Holland is at the age where he can carry a franchise.
Right.
He won't grow old. Like he can grow up with the character and not grow out of it like Nathan Fillion.
They want a new Indiana Jones somehow. They're trying to pull one.
Somehow.
They need an adventure with treasure movie series, another Mummy, if you will. So yeah, let's move on to Need for Speed. And I'm actually going to begin this one off, okay? So I'm actually going to begin this one off because this was my pick. And I'm going to explain why I picked this movie and what it means to me. And then I'm going to hear what you guys have to say, which I'm used to, so I'm not that worried about it. There's a reason I picked this film for a couple reasons. Some of them are personal, and then some of them are just the way certain movies hit you, you know? Like everybody hates them, but every so often... If everybody hates a movie, you were just in the right mood and it hits you right, or it just hits the right notes. Yeah. Is this movie cookie cutter? Sure. Does it have some fairly cheesy moments? Are they a little over the top? Sure. But am I a full cheese nerd that loves a little bit of drama? Yeah, that's me. This is, if you were to say, what kind of soap opera or Lifetime movie would you ever watch? I'd be like, give me one with cars, and that's Need for Speed. So I grew up around cars. My dad was big into cars, big into, doing mechanic stuff, and he taught me how to drive, and he did all sorts of mechanical stuff. So it was anything to do with trucks and vehicles, and it was just kind of my pastime. So I got really into cars to at least the level of enjoying seeing racing and that. Not NASCAR, much more like local racing or indie, you know, like ridiculously fast or local, but never the middle. I don't know. Anyway, so when this movie came out, I just like everybody else, I was like, oh, Need for Speed, who cares? And then I watched it, and of course, I was watching it at the time that Breaking Bad was popular because Aaron Paul was huge, and I like him. I don't know why. He just kind of clicks with me, even though he's, you know, people might call him an average actor. I like him, but it's got a gang in it. That's a tight knit gang, and the bad guy's hateable, and I like that he's hateable. I want to be able to hate my bad guys in my simple movies. And then Michael Keaton is a ridiculous over the top character playing almost like that Bruce Wayne character that's rich, but he's got a car race that he does. And for me, those notes just hit right. And I like the bad music, and I like the ridiculous, you know, stunts that they're not believable. It's like the bullet that gets shot 18 times out of a gun with 6, you know, chambers. I don't mind those tropes. The part that I like to tell people the most is that all the cars in these movies are real. They use kit cars. So even though it says Bugatti, it's still a real car. And it's just got a body on it. So when they wreck the cars, they're real cars. There's no CG throughout this entire film. And they were doing a throwback to old racing films. As you see, you both saw the film, so you saw that they put the movie Bullet in it as a throwback to Steve McQueen and some great 70s racing films and tropes. So I think it's a fun movie if you can say you like cars and you want to let go. That's my pedestal, my soapbox. I'm going to step off of it now and let one of you go.
I mean, look. Play the Need for Speed games. Need for Speed Underground is one of the best soundtracks in any game. Here's my question to you. Why would I choose to watch Need for Speed over Fast and the Furious? I hate Fast and the Furious, by the way. I think they're nonsense after like 3. But why would I ever choose to watch Need for Speed over Bullet, over Bandit, over Dukes of Hazzard, over Starsky and Hutch, over Fast and Furious 1 through 9?
Okay. I'll try to answer your question.
An hour and a half, 2 hours watching this movie.
I'll do my best.
You have a great reason for liking this movie. I don't know why I should like this movie.
I don't know. I don't think I have a reason for why other people should like it. I know that the reasons I like it are about the cars and are about just the way it makes me feel. I guess maybe I also lost a friend when I was in my 20s who committed suicide, and that was really very, very, very difficult for me. And so whenever I see somebody close to somebody in a movie these days, it hits me harder, and the music in movies hits me really hard. So when the kid, spoilers, dies in this film and Aaron Paul gets really upset, it hits me. And so it hooks me at that moment and takes me. The rest of the movie, I don't care. I don't care about the helicopter in the car. I don't care about the jump in the grasshopper scene and it doesn't bother me because I'm already emotionally attached. If you can't get emotionally attached in that moment, then the movie isn't going to hit for you. So I think I watch this movie every time like I'm a 12-year-old. I think I just walk into it with a 12-year-old's perception. Because I'm trying to think back to my childhood and my father and all these terrible things. And I think that maybe other people aren't feeling that. And that's fine. I totally respect that. This is not for everybody, but that's why it hits for me. And everybody thinks I'm nuts. That's okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. First, I'm sorry to hear about your
I
friend.
think you're nuts for different reasons.
Thanks.
The thing that you just said, you can forgive. A lot to forgive for somebody to spend the money to go watch this movie or spend the time to go watch this movie. And so I'm glad this movie has a personal place for you. I'm not going to try to convince you to dislike this movie. If I'm here to review a movie, bad movie. Here's my biggest issue with this movie is, and it's the same issue I have with the Fast and Furious movies, is forgetting the term now off the top of my head, but when what you can and can't accept as reality. You know what I mean? You're watching a movie. Like, to watch Tony Stark snap his fingers and eviscerate all of the army I know none of that's real, but it feels real. All feels more real than 90% of this movie to me. And I worked on an ambulance. I was a EMT. I had mostly BLS, but I had some ALS certifications as well. And the entire time I was watching this movie, I was counting up who should be dead. They're all going to prison for life. No one should be getting out of prison. Michael Keaton filmed all of his scenes in one day in a room. I don't know if that's true, but he could have done it because he doesn't leave a desk
Nope.
for the whole movie. I love Michael Keaton. And here's the thing. Michael Keaton and Aaron Paul are wonderful in this movie. But other things I noticed when I'm watching this movie, there is one woman in this movie, one woman who's not a supermodel. One, the old woman in the elevator, Rami Malek, for some reason, was butt naked. That's the only woman in there.
I have friends like him. That's why it didn't bother me.
At the drive-in, a friend like that. You gotta understand. I'm not talking about Rami Malek being cold in an elevator. I'm talking all the women in the background look like they were cast by Michael Bay or Joss Whedon.
Oh, I agree. But here's the thing. If you look at any scene like that, that's a very close representation of what scenes like that are like. They're not doing a disservice to what racing scenes are like. And I would say that Fast and the Furious takes that way further.
Office? But no, I agree. Like,
but that's the thing. Dino Brewster's a piece of shit. Like, either. Dino Brewster's a total piece of shit, and so of course he would be the misogynist with all those things. You don't see Aaron Paul doing that. You see him treating the lady that he's with a lot of respect, and he's trying to be there for her. Now, are there some terrible misogynistic tropes within this movie? Probably. Yeah, without a doubt. Is the movie shit? Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. It's probably shit. But as far as video game movies go, I think it hits closer to the home than a lot of video game movies. I think that a lot of video game movies do like Assassin's Creed did. This has everything from Need for Speed. It's got good music. It's got a main character that's going through some kind of trauma. That's Need for Speed for you. It's got cops chasing the guys in the cars, and the cars are real. They're not CG. So, like, for me, it hits all the notes for the video games. And it's got Michael Keaton.
Nobody plays Need for Speed for the story. No one has ever said, I play Need for Speed for the story. No,
fair.
For the story. It's the same thing with Need for Speed. So Need for Speed as a movie, if you take Need for Speed out the title and just call it not a cartoon, same movie. I mean, there's.
So you're putting it in the same realm as Assassin's Creed and Godzilla.
Oh, not exactly. It's better than Assassin's Creed. Okay. It's still a decent. You can sit down and watch this with popcorn, right? Like, again, when I'm watching this movie, in the very beginning, I knew spoilers. I knew his buddy Pete was going to die because for some reason the guy can see the future. It's up to him and goes, I have a vision, water, and I went, he's dead. He's gonna die. And then they go to the garage after that first race, and the races are all pretty cool in this movie. But they go to the garage, and he's like, guys, and they're like, we made $5,000. And he's like, yeah, that'll pay the bills this month. And then it has to restore the Shelby Ford, and they sell it. They're going to make $500,000, $500,000 off this one car. All these numbers are mentioned in the movie. $500,000, right? Because earlier they said his Maverick says in the garage we made $5,000.
Liar One. His name is Liar One.
Maverick, and you better respect it. But
sorry.
Then they make $500,000 off of. They've just paid their bills for 10 years off that one car.
Yeah.
Then Dino goes, race me and do this bet for money. And Aaron Paul goes, sure. And then his best friend dies.
It's called ego.
By Dino, but
racers by nature have ego.
Stupid.
It's fair. We need to let Lala get her take on this. We have not heard from her one bit, and we've been going back and forth, and I want to hear what she's got to say. So appreciate you letting us do that a little bit.
Honestly, honestly, I was enjoying the back and forth. It was great. It was very Need for Speed. um, I didn't play the game, so I didn't have a reference. So I kind of went into this movie like very fresh to just look at it as a movie in itself. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. I wouldn't say it's one of the worst I've seen. I will say because this is a 14 movie, I think.
That's right.
It has those tropes and those writing type moments that I find trash now. Before its time, it was like a good thing. Like the posturing between males. I don't particularly care for that. Like I knew that he was gonna fall in love with the girl because they were such opposites that they had to be together. Like they just had to some reason be together. Those certain things like that I didn't like. For the most part, movies have a catalyst. The catalyst was I called it the Coulson effect, even though Avengers came out way later. I think maybe, yeah.
No, 2012. So it was 2 years before.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so I'll call it the Coulson effect. Somebody of the crew dies and it gives you purpose, and so Pete died, and even though his purpose was revenge, it still burned the team on to do something. Like you always need like that one person to die or something. So like it had little tropes in it that I was like, all right. My favorite character was Remy Malek's character because he was such a good character. He was like the comedic relief in some ways in this film, and I thoroughly enjoyed him. But I feel like Touchstone Pictures, who did Need for Speed, saw that Universal had a very good thing going with Fast and the Furious, and they tried to create their version of Fast and the Furious. Even though this is a racing video game, I still think Touchstone was like, what? How can we capitalize off of people digging these like fast car movies? And they pulled Need for Speed off the shelf and tried their best to make this like a franchise, because I can literally see this becoming a franchise. Aaron Paul has that franchise type of energy.
Charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he could have been the like mentor in the next movie for another racer.
Right. Or he could have still been the next racer, depending on how, how long,
Or maybe he's the new Michael Keaton character.
Something, or, however it is, it could have went, because Fast and the Furious is so ridiculous now. I enjoy it because it's leaning into the ridiculousness, right? Like, you're no longer trying to hide this as us, like, trying to be something. I think Fast and the Furious is like, yeah, we nuts, so we just gonna keep being nuts because y'all keep paying for it. And I'm okay with that. When you can lean into that, I'm good with that. For me, Need for Speed, I first time going in, maybe it would take me a couple more times to watch it just to keep, like, kind of like getting into it. Certain cuts, certain takes were just like, because you went from Dominic Cooper's Dino realizing what he did, being like, oh snap, I didn't mean for that to happen, because he is a trash driver compared to everybody else, even the young kid, to being like, oh, I don't care, I'm out of here. And then it's like, my question was, did he know that was the brother of his fiance?
Yes.
Like, did that just like go out of his brain?
No,
And,
I mean,
like,
he might have, but he knew. He knows. Like, there's no doubt he knows
right,
who that is.
I know he knows, but it just didn't hit well for me. And like you said, if I couldn't find the heart in it, like Aaron Paul played his part when he was running towards the car and was screaming, no, I thought he did a great job. It just didn't touch me in a way that made me care. Also, the cop scene for me was stupid. You telling me that there were reports that other people saw 3 cars, but because y'all can't find a 3rd car, this kid is lying. Like, this kid is lying? Like, come on.
I love plot for convenience, right?
It is plot for convenience.
Right.
And if I feel like if you would have just threw in something like the next scene was Dino paying them off, because they were in his pocket, it would have made a little bit more sense. But no cop will be like, yo, we got reports that people did see 3, but since we can't find the third car that didn't get trashed or stopped, then you're a liar. Like, it's some stuff was just like convenience for me. And again, it's 2014. Movies have evolved since then. It's just, I call that in the guise of Ryan Reynolds, lazy writing. It's just.
And again, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
So there with you right now.
So, but there are a couple of moments, and again, I know you guys can tell that there are moments in this movie. And again, this is why it's better than Assassin's Creed, because instead of being flat, there are still fun moments where you're like, oh, that's funny. You probably giggled at least a couple times during the film. You probably went, oh, that was exciting as far as a race goes. Like you said, Cole, you agreed the racing, especially I think that first race is one of the best races in the whole movie. Where they're racing through the town in the nighttime. I love that race. But the part that I think that still sticks out to me as just a moment in movie history, and as much as it's a lame movie or whatever for people, when he's taunting the cop in front of the building waiting for Remy to come down. Yeah. I love that he's just like, you gotta drive this car. And just Aaron Paul being Aaron Paul and then rolling the window up on the cop. And the actor playing the cop did a great job. Like, I really believed he's like, let's go, dude. Okay, just pull the car around. I just enjoyed all the energy of that scene, and then really the whole thing was just to test the car and just fun little things.
I love that cop knew he has like car knowledge. He's like, a modified Mustang. I was like, oh, you know it's modified.
Right? How could you tell that by looking at the body?
Yeah, I was like, cool. You know
this is what it hurts me. Okay, is I've written reports, police reports. Had an FAA clearance to drive an ambulance at an airport. I want to know how Maverick was stealing all these helicopters and airplanes.
You gotta let it go, man. This is what I mean. It's a roller coaster movie.
Oh,
with heart.
There's no letting go.
But he went to jail.
Some things I can forgive.
They put him in the brig for that.
Go for decades, and was it worth it? No. And also, here's the thing, right?
It wasn't his first helicopter he stole, too.
If this movie, I know he stole an Apache. If
kinda, I guess.
This movie leaned into the themes that were like anti-affluenza, I would have loved it. Right? If, like she mentioned, if Dino's character, if we had a scene where he was paying off the cops or his lawyers got him out of trouble, I'd be all about this movie. They could have done so much with that. Right?
So you're saying a little bit of a cut might have made this movie better. A couple added scenes could have changed the tone.
Way better.
Yeah. I totally agree. And some cuts and some additions. Really, okay. I do.
Okay. Yeah, you could have easily turned this movie into an anti-affluenza movie, and it would have been amazing. Then if you took out Dino's and Aaron Paul's ex,
yeah,
changes. Like Petey didn't even have to be her brother.
No,
Petey could have just been Aaron Paul's buddy, and you would.
Her entire existence in the film is to get him the car at the end.
That's the only reason, and I'm pretty sure.
No, you're thinking of the wrong woman. The other woman, more important. The blonde woman is the one who works for a mysterious buyer.
No. He's talking about
Dakota
Johnson.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson did not need to be in the movie at all.
He gets it's the reason why he gets the other car after that other one's destroyed.
So,
but again,
the other thing, right?
She was unnecessary. She was unnecessary. Think of it.
Yeah, so character getting away with shit because he's rich.
He's not just rich. Like, you can tell this dude's rich enough to put bounties out on people. I mean, that's pretty rich.
Right. He's wealthy. But this guy who bought the $3 million Mustang from Dino, is he not helping out Aaron Paul?
He is.
That guy has money that he can.
Question was why?
Because he saw something in the kid. That's what I got from it.
But here's the thing though. It was a one-off. We saw him drive a car, and the guy was like, "Oh, it gets up. You're a good driver. It gets up to that much." Yes, it does. And then all of a sudden, how do you still have this dude's number? Where did you get it from? Because it was only Dino and the girl that was like in a transaction with each other. Yeah, you might have talked to her, but they were the only two in like that had each other's like numbers or however you want to slice it. And then that's the first person you call to say, when did you plan this? Can we see the planning? And then how did Maverick or Liar One, however you want to call him, how did he know exactly what the plan was the moment he got out of prison? Like there were so many moments that it was just like, okay, how does this add up? When were you guys talking? Because you can't talk over the phones because they can hear you.
Right.
They know what the conversation is.
So this is what I call the Godzilla effect. Well, not really the Godzilla effect, but it's the plot, exposition by assumption trope, if you will. So like we just know. That's how there's so many movies. The Fast and Furious does it too. A lot of movies do. If you're a roller coaster movie, there are whole plots that are just assumed. All you need is like 2 pieces of dialogue to like wrap it together, and you're done. That's not why we're watching these movies.
But this ain't even 2 pieces of dialogue to wrap it together.
That's fair. That's fair.
Tell me this, right? Tell me how you assume Aaron Paul doesn't go to prison for the rest of his life at the end of this movie. Because that last scene alone.
Oh no, he does. It's a tragedy, man.
The last race kills other drivers, kills 3 cops, driving recklessly. They endanger the public. And all because he raced with the car that killed Petey does not absolve Aaron Paul of all the other crimes that he has committed throughout this whole movie.
Exactly.
So
crime
I'm gonna let's see if I can do this.
Of Petey already did time
Hold on.
for.
I'm gonna headcanon this. Give me a second. I'm gonna see if I can do it. Give me a second. All right. So, he actually turns on the Michael Keaton De Leon character and gets him turned in. So we don't know this, but that's how he gets out early. That's what the sequel's about. Is the De Leon guy coming after him?
That's nice though, but no, there's
so he's going to prison too for putting the whole race together.
Right. What were you saying, Lala?
No, I'm saying you really tried to fix that, and I appreciate your how deep you were trying your best to do that. I really appreciate the hubris.
I am the king of bullshit, so.
And I dig it, and that's why I'm your co-host. But I just feel like there were so many things in this film that could have been done better, because I feel like him finding Dakota Johnson's character finding out about how her brother actually died happened too late.
And with no heart.
That happened. It was
so stupid.
It was dry and it was too late. The moment I got out of prison, hey, ex-girlfriend of mine, the little brother that's yours, that's also my little brother that's been hanging around me even after we broke up, died because of your fiance. Like,
you know what? I'm gonna take a quick poll. Give me 1 second, okay? I'm gonna reach out to my fiance.
Yeah. Please do. No, and again, I'm telling you guys, the reason I started this by telling everybody about how I feel.
3 or 2.
What did he say?
Illegal to own cars in the United States in our garage. And then I had to go to court to testify on behalf of your brother's death. Would you know if I had 3 or 2 of those cars?
He has a private garage in San Francisco, though, that he hides it in.
No, but
where he had the cars when he died.
But I'm confused too, because remember at the dinner scene, which I think, to me, this wasn't I don't think they did this on purpose, but I thought it was funny because I find weird things funny. But people keep exploiting his lies in front of, like, people that he need money from. So like Pete did it first when he was like, "You ain't driving, he still got the keys." I thought that was hilarious. And then when him and Dakota Johnson was at the table doing dinner, she did it again. Like, she's like, "Well, didn't you say that the projections?" I thought it was funny. I don't think they did. I think that happened on purpose. I don't think they really did that on, like, I just think it just happened on purpose. But if she knows that much about his business, she would know if he had 3 cars, because he seems too arrogant enough to keep that to himself. So if she knew,
so arrogant, he let 2 other people drive the other cars.
Exactly. And if she knew what kind of car her brother was in, and these cars don't even exist in the United States, she should have known that he was in direct relation to how her brother died.
So there's also, let's not talk about the fact that on that bridge there's undoubtedly at least 2 or 3 cameras. Not to
Oh my
mention that they could track where those cars were coming from, even in 2014 with cell towers and with cell phones. How many cars
much
did they run off the road?
How much rubber were they burning?
Exactly.
Oh
on
yeah,
that
good
bridge?
good point.
It was only 3. You know, one went over. You know, one was already parked, and dude skirted away. So he would have burnt. He would have burnt that rubber on the
Right.
ground. Like, you should have known that it was 3 cars there.
Right.
It's
No,
just a
It had
and
Vinny
on the
from
other side
My
of the
Cousin
bridge.
Vinny in there.
Right. If you
Yeah.
go to the other side of the bridge, if you look carefully, he goes right into a small, like a little downtown commercial area. There's a whole bunch of buildings there, which means people saw the explosion and are running out of buildings and seeing him tear ass away. I agree. If you take any of these movies, video game movies specifically, and you start unraveling them, even a little, you pull at a thread, dead. You can't touch Fast and Furious because if you pull at a thread, it dies.
But here's the thing about Fast and the Furious, right?
They're not good movies.
But here's the thing about Fast and the Furious, right? They already pull at those threads, so you don't have anything to really pull from. Because in the next movie, they bring up something that was stupid in their first one, and the previous
Okay.
one, add to it.
Okay.
This one, you don't have anything. They don't have anything before or after this for us to be like, oh, okay, well, they kind of meant this or they kind of meant that. Just looking at this movie as itself, because again, I haven't played this game,
Right.
so I don't even know if it really relates to the video game or not. But as
Eh.
a movie watcher, for me, it's too many. Well, how? Well, what? Well, how?
Well,
for me, to be like, this is
Let's
great.
compare this. To be fair, let's forget about the Fast and Furious franchise. Set it aside and just go to Fast and Furious from 2001. Fast and the Furious versus Need for Speed. Which one's a little bit more grounded in reality?
Furious.
Fast and the Furious.
The
I agree.
trucks and driving under trucks and like those Hondas were not low. Like there's a lot of things that I struggled with in the same exact ways in that
And
film.
kill 15 people.
But I'm going story wise.
That's fair.
Story wise, it's a solid story. It's about an undercover cop trying to break up this ring of like car thieves. Essentially, that was the first film. Essentially, and I think they
DVD
were, like,
thieves.
stealing-
They sold DVD players.
DVD thieves or something like that. Like
Right.
that was his whole
Right.
thing. So to me, that was a solid storyline for a movie. Like, forget the franchise, we're talking about a movie. And it just happens to be that because they work on all these cars, they have to drive them, they know how to drive these cars. That just added an element to it that we didn't see coming. So for me, the first Fast and the Furious is better than Need for Speed.
Now they did at least cover the
Story-wise,
fact,
plot-wise.
right? They did at least cover the fact that these guys are all mechanics, so they do know these cars. That even if they need to pull over for a night, they could work on the car and they could get going crazy.
I have no issue with that. One of my favorite scenes is when what's his name, called Finn and was like, look at how this car like lags to the left, right? And the fact that he can be in the window and see that, that's a mechanic thing. My
Right.
dad was a mechanic.
Right.
You know, my dad was able to be like, is something wrong with whatever? And just by looking at a car or feeling how it, looking how it pulls or feeling how it pulls. So that to me was like a good scene. But plot wise, it's a shaky plot.
So there's some solid scenes
Let me
throughout the
give Some
film.
positives.
Okay, no,
Yeah, it
please,
is.
please.
So because again, it's better than Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Like Lala and I agree. The plot is
Terrible
terrible.
plot.
The positives in the movie, you touched on this a little bit, Snid, is like practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
The actual scenes where the cars are racing are actual helicopter footage of cars moving.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so rare, even in 2014 or now. So rare. I got to give it a lot of credit for that.
I agree.
As a fan of the video games, pay attention. There are a lot of homages to the video game. So in the video game, Lala, whenever you're speeding and you go by a cop, you'll see a helicopter swoop down in front of your car. So here's your car. The helicopter will swoop down in front of your car and kind of turn sideways. Now, no, cops are on my tail.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, there's a few times where the helicopter kind of hovers out in front of the car. That's an homage to the video game.
Okay.
In the Ford Camaro Mustang, the speedometer and RPM and all that is displayed on
like
the
a HUD, right?
which is an homage to
Right.
It's
They're
just
also
like it
playing
is, actually the HUD.
They play Need for Speed, the game, in the garage while they're waiting for the Ford to get delivered. That's the video game they're playing.
And all those things are really cool nods to the video game. Appreciate all of that. I cannot forgive the rest of the movie.
So, do you know how many times? I want you guys to guess how many times I've seen this film
Since 2014.
since it came out. So, in 7 years.
I would say 15 times.
How many times do you say, Cole?
I think it's an annual thing for you, and you may have forgotten a year.
Okay, so 6 or 7. So it's closer to Lala's a number, probably closer to 15, if not 20. Because I'll get in a mood for this movie and I'll put it on 3 or 4 times in 2 or 3 weeks. Like, I'm weird.
I get that.
So,
I understand that. I have movies like that.
Yeah.
Bro,
So, and I don't, I can't tell you, no, like I'm telling you, a big part of it is definitely an attachment to my father and an era, no, a bygone era, if you will. You know, I was raised in a very cis white male world by a first sergeant in the military. Now you tell me how hard that is to break out of, right? So I've had to break down a lot of barriers and a lot of walls, and so some of those walls are still up, and I still have these attachments to some of these bygone moments, and movies like that really touch on that. And I feel like it's innocent enough. You know, sure, it's definitely a very not so chauvinist, but maybe masculine driven plot lines and over the top tropes like Lala was talking about, you know, the like butch males, you know, alpha male crap. You know, I agree, it gets old. But that's why I think I like Aaron Paul in this, because he's still sensitive enough. Like, he still cries, he feels, he has emotion, he feels for his friends and his crew and the girl and his brother who died. So like, and I, real quick call out, Kid Cudi, funny as hell. Like, I never really noticed him before this movie, and then now I actually listen to his music, and like,
yeah, Kid Cudi was great.
So
he plays comedy well because he showed up in Brooklyn Nine-Nine a couple of times.
Okay.
And was great in that as well. Like, he does some other acting too, but I didn't even know he was in this. When I saw Kid Cudi, I was like, oh, yeah. And he actually plays like a very charming, likable. To me, Rami Malek and Kid Cudi for me were like,
they steal the show, right?
They steal the show for me. Like, they were pluses for me.
Maverick stole the show for me, for sure.
Oh, right here.
Kid Cudi.
You can say hi on the air. Nobody has to see you, but you can say hi.
Yeah. Hi.
That's my wife.
Hello, wife.
Nice to meet you.
Her online name is Bats McSkelly.
Love it. I've seen her on TikTok.
Yeah. You guys can follow her on there. She's much more of a watcher than a creator. But that's, you know, that's like 90% of people on TikTok. Oh wow, she made coffee.
Smells good. Best part of WIKK.
You know what's ironic is I drink Folgers. I'm terrible because I'm a cheap poor person. Because I can't afford that ridiculous stuff. So we have a half hour left. I think we could rate this movie right now and literally talk about something else. And there's a couple things I would love to chat about, and I would love some insight. So let's do a quick rating. Lala.
Are we doing 12-year-old or are we just rating?
1 to 10. Do the 12-year-old version too. I like that with these video game movies.
So my 12-year-old self would probably still think this was trash because it didn't do much in the form of like Michael Bay-y type things that, you know, kids get into. So I think my 12-year-old self would say 5, and I would say 5. I keep it at a middle ground. I just put it in the middle. It's not, because it's not nearly as bad as Assassin's Creed, but it's not nearly as good as, say,
you got to reach pretty far to get on
Pikachu. You know, like to put it in the gauge. So I'll give it a solid 5. If they recut some things and remove some people and just tighten up the plot a little bit, it could be way better. Because I felt like the plot was paint by numbers. So it was a paint by numbers plot. Yeah, that's my rating.
Well, Marvel, Marvel commented here, if you ever do get around to watching it, just let go and just try to enjoy the ride, because quite literally that's what this is. It's a cross-country trip in a beautiful car with some great jokes. Let it be that.
actually watch it again, just to make sure. Like, cause I've never seen it before. This is my first time watching it. This is like my first time, kind of like just throwing out an idea about it. I'll give it another watch.
Sweet.
Sometimes,
My wife actually watched it a second time when I asked her to too, because I was like, I know you didn't like it the first time, but would you please? And then the second time, she's like, I see why you like it, but stop making me watch it. Cole, go ahead, dude. What is your rating?
12-year-old me, I would give this like a 9 out of 10. Because, cars are driving fast and blowing up, and there's pretty girls everywhere. So, 12-year-old me would be all about that. But as an adult, man, I agree with Lala. It's not as bad as Assassin's Creed. But when I compare it to other car movies and racing movies, it's a 5. I mean, the practical effects are good. I agree with Lala. It's a 5 overall. I mean, practical effects are good. Aaron Paul is good. Kid Cudi's good. Michael Keaton is good.
yep. And I love me some Michael Keaton. So yeah.
Script is one of the worst I've ever seen. I mean, it is.
So this is one of those movies
dumb.
with great acting that a plot can't save. Like,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like The Expendables. I mean, it's
Yeah.
5 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You're just, if you know what you're seeing when you're going into it, then just treat it like Godzilla vs. Kong. I literally, every time a human was on screen, I was going to do something else. And when Godzilla and Kong were on screen, I was like, it was awesome.
That was my biggest complaint about that movie. I was like, none of these humans were necessary for this movie.
right. So you're saying that with this movie, had they just cut out the humans and let us watch the cars, it would have been a blast. With a couple of scenes with Keaton doing rah, doing Keaton.
You could just do the racing scenes and then show Keaton narrating a race.
Yeah, there goes the gooch. I love that he called the guy the gooch. Like,
honestly, because I feel like, for me, I feel like when you do certain things with certain characters, there needs to be intention and reason behind everything, right? So like, there's
consequences.
Exactly. There's no reason or no intention for him to fall in love with that girl that's his opposite. They don't elevate the plot or the story to me. They don't elevate anything. It was just something to be like, he's a leading man. I guess he should be with somebody. There's no reason for them to be together. They can have I would have liked it if they were like more like a common ground partner type of thing. But for them to be in a relationship, it was not needed. Dakota Johnson wasn't needed, because if Maverick can steal a helicopter, he can steal a car.
That's true. They could have gone to the garage and gotten it.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
That's fair.
Dude was occupied. It's just some stuff that just, because they felt
like, calling him Maverick too.
Just because it needs to have a woman in it, she doesn't have to be the love interest.
No, and I get that.
It would have been cool. It would have been cooler if she could have drove maybe better than some of them. Like, that would have been a cool, like.
She did good. So the whole scene up until they go on the helicopter,
so like, Petey, it would have been better.
Like, she does a good job when she does have to drive, because she has to get away from all the bounty hunters, and I think that she proves that she has some chops, at least out there, because she's on the dirt in that scene in a car that is designed for the road. Talk about controlling a car with power. Like, that would be a hard one to do.
She still ended up in the hospital when nobody else did.
That was not her fault.
I know.
I like her character.
So the cop should have been at the hospital for her.
Oh, I know. No, don't give me. Look, okay, so
also,
look.
Hang on.
This does not take place in our world.
Gotten a laptop, and what's his name? Maverick in the prison should have never been allowed to watch the race. That was all.
He flirts. Anyway, he flirts with the corporal to get her to bring him an iPad. This is what you see my smile. This is why I like the movie, because I know it's ridiculous and it makes me giggle, so I'm okay with it. I don't know. I go, that's lame.
Whole conversation, by the way. I'm on Discord.
Oh yeah, you can't see my face. Oh, my beautiful face. So you're not on our Twitch to say hello and to chat. I can't call you out on Twitch.
It was lagging too hard. So
yeah, I noticed that, and I appreciate you dropping that out for that reason. Did you happen to follow me while we were airing, Cole?
I don't know. I think you're still on my PlayStation downstairs though. So I'm.
Dommy Doms 1998 followed me in this time while we were airing, and I don't know if that was you.
Not me.
All right. Well, Dommy Doms, thank you. Thank you for the follow. I know I said it earlier, but that was very cool of you to follow. So there's one thing that Lala and I never got to discuss, and I know you're a Marvel fan, Cole, so this will be very interesting for us to discuss this. As far as ratings, let me give mine real quick, but I'm going to give mine in a different way.
I was about to say something, so go ahead.
So
You get yours.
we already know that I basically rate this movie from my 12-year-old's perspective. So what I'll do is give it that rating, and then I'm going to give it a rating from a serious movie critiques perspective as best I can.
Ooh, okay. I
So
respect that.
I think this is a 9 as far as my 12-year-old self and as far as when I just let go and try to enjoy it. I have a great time with this movie. If you like cars, if you're willing to let go of bad plot choices and not think too much, just enjoy yourself, enjoy the ride. It is quite literally a good roller coaster movie. So for that reason, I would, at 12 years old, give it a 9. If I were to watch it with something like my favorite movie in mind, which is, by the way, There Will Be Blood. That is probably by far my number one movie ever made for many reasons, including artistic reasons. If I were to judge it against that, this is a piece of shit. It's a 0.5. It's, yeah, it's a video game movie. That's why we're doing them, because they're fun. But, so yeah, I am aware. I am perfectly capable of judging all of these films on 2 levels because of that. I can assess them from an artistic, film perspective, if you will, and then I can just let go. Would I ever try to really truly review a movie like Need for Speed? No, because I don't think that's really fair to it. It'd be like doing it to Detective Pikachu. If we were going to break that movie down, from an Academy perspective, if you will, probably lower than we gave it credit for. It might win some CG.
I never give anything an Academy perspective because I personally believe everything shouldn't be Academy worthy. I feel like some stuff should just be for fun. So the fact that you love Need for Speed because for you it's fun, for you it gives you like great memories. I think that's what movies are supposed to be.
I agree.
Right? Because I like the Super Mario live action film and it's trash.
Right.
I can say it. It's trash. They got nothing right and everything wrong. And I love it because it's trash. I love that you got it so bad that it's just so good to me.
You almost sounded exactly like Forky, by the way. Which is great. Because I love the way he says, I'm trash. I just love the way he says that.
But I love Toy Story 4 as well.
Yeah.
So we can talk about He's like, keep throwing himself away. I was like, he's me.
Yeah. I was meant for chili or soup and then the trash. Freedom. Sorry, my daughter watches that movie a lot.
I love it.
Great movie.
It is a great film.
Actually, have you watched all the shorts, all the Forky shorts?
Yes, all of them.
Oh, Cole.
Oh, though. I have Disney Plus. So
they're on there. Go watch them.
They're so brilliant. They're like 3 minutes maybe, but they're so brilliant. I was like a child, like, where's the next one? I gotta watch them all. It was so good.
The little
are
short.
There any shorts with Key and Peele stuffed bunnies?
Yes, there are.
Yes.
The little bit at the end when Forky meets his friend, all the shorts have that feel.
Yes. It's so good.
So
I'm
you
about to
had
watch
some questions you wanted to go over?
Oh no, so there's this thing that I post. The reason that Lala and I know each other is because of a post that I put on TikTok. And it was a post where I trashed Tony Stark relentlessly, not a little bit, but kind of.
I didn't appreciate it, so I had to respond.
Yeah, so that's how we actually met, which is fantastic. And now we have this, which is weird because we agree on a lot more than we would have thought based on that initial encounter. But I thought it'd be nice to talk about it just a little bit and maybe get an actual conversation, since all we've ever gotten to do is TikTok about it, which is very difficult to do. But I also wanted to cover what movies we were going to cover next week, because last week we didn't do that. And next week we're definitely going to cover Mortal Kombat, the new one, the 2018 or the 2021 HBO Max and theater release. And then I think we're going to do Mario Brothers, right? Because we talked about that, and I know that's one of your favorites. But then we have to have a third.
We don't have to.
Ooh.
I mean,
Cole got idea.
There are so many, though. There's still Silent Hill. There's Rampage. There's Doom. There's
Doom. Doom. That's nice. I like. That's a guilty pleasure movie.
That's fair.
I really like Doom.
Cole said Doom. You've never seen Doom? Oh, it's The Rock when he had hair.
No.
Rock, Jude Law.
Carl Urban.
Listen.
Or sorry, Carl Urban.
Listen,
I know I said Jude Law.
Carl, you have me at Carl Urban. I'm
It's
obsessed
a good
with Carl Urban.
time.
Prince of Persia. Now we kind of covered that one Marvelite because we watched Assassin's Creed and it's the modern whitewashing. Prince of Persia is so whitewashed. We were like, nah.
The only difference is one has sand and one doesn't.
Right. So I think Doom.
Okay.
So we got Doom. We've got Super
Doom
Mario Brothers.
Annihilation.
What? No. Just the original Doom. I haven't seen it since it came out, so I think that'll be
yeah.
a fun one. And then Lala's never seen it, so this is perfect.
Wait, which one? What happened?
There's a new Doom.
Oh, there's a new
Netflix released a movie called Doom Annihilation. Don't watch it. That's not the right one. You want Doom
I know it's what
with
Yeah.
Urban and The Rock.
don't watch that.
Yeah, don't waste your time. So Doom, Super Mario Brothers, and then the new Mortal Kombat. And then this is kind of what I wanted to do is segment into May. So May is my movie, my birthday month. Star Wars Day is my birthday. I'm a weirdo.
No, it's not. That is crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And I was born before Star Wars, so it's like I made Star Wars Day by being born.
It was made to be. I don't believe you. Show me your license.
I will at another time, not on live air. I don't want people to know my address, but no, I promise you, May the 4th is my birthday. And Marvelite's birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday, sir! And tomorrow is the 19th. Nice. So we're almost 2 weeks apart. That's very cool. But May and June, I believe we're gonna do comic book movies. Because that's the time of year they're always coming out. There's always a comic book movie in May. May is when I usually see something like Spider-Man 3 was one of my birthday movies. I think Avengers was one of my birthday movies. Like there's always some kind of comic book movie right around my birthday. So I like that being comic book month. And so after video game month, which is this next weekend, we only had 3 weekends. We'll move right into the comic book movies, and we're going to do a variety. It's not just going to be all Marvel, all DC. We're going to try to hit some off the beaten path ones as well. There's even some more heavy duty ones that most people don't really know about that we might hit as well. There's a Paul Giamatti film that's actually based on a comic book that most people don't know about. He's amazing. I love him.
I love him. You ever seen Fred Claus?
Oh yeah. He's great as a bad guy. Do you really? That's awesome. But he plays a really good guy and bad guy. He's both really well.
He's a good actor.
As Santa Claus, I cry so hard. It's one part I always cry. I'm like, get out of that.
You guys are doing comic book movies. That's my wheelhouse. Like you guys need Sin City. You need.
Well, and we could.
Affleck's Daredevil. You need Spawn. You
can do Sin
I'll give you good and bad ones.
You could do all 3 Sin Cities. Wasn't there 3 Sin Cities?
This is why I want to. There's only 2 that I know of, but I want to do 2 months of it because I don't think that 4 weeks will be enough. Kingsman, absolutely. We could do Wanted. We could do I have a whole segment on my Vudu that's dedicated to just video or to comic book movies, and they're all in there in order. Right? Anything with Mark Millar, Kick-Ass 2, are all solid comic book movies. But
I love me some. I love Kick-Ass.
Right? Hit Girl.
You have the Capes and Cowls.
Yes.
You have the Green Hornet.
Oh God. Oh. Anyway, that's one movie I can't stand. Really? That's not my flavor. Not my flavor. So let's argue about Tony Stark for 10 minutes and let's see how this goes.
Okay.
So I made the argument that, and maybe I can make myself a little bit more succinct this time, but I made the argument that I think that Tony Stark is inherently not a hero because of his absolute selfishness that, and I would argue, starts at the beginning and never ends. It just morphs from one selfishness to another. So in the beginning, he's selfish for the reason that he wants to make money and be a playboy and just be powerful. He that's his selfishness, right? And we know that. That's obvious. They don't try to hide that. And that's who he is through the first several films into Avengers, when he starts to actually become empathetic to a degree and starts to become the hero we think he is. But by the next Avengers movie we see him in, he's no longer the hero. He's actually an anti-villain, where he's doing everything for the right reasons, but he's wrong. He is the villain in both Ultron and in Civil War. There's very little room to argue that because he has to be the antagonist, right? because of all the things he's done, because he creates Ultron, because he is the one that puts all the soldiers in the streets, all the robot soldiers, if you will, the Iron Legion that nobody likes. So he is Big Brother, right? In this sense, you keep going through these themes all the way through the films until you get to the original snap, to the blip, when everybody in the world disappears. Yeah, of course we had to have this conversation when you aren't on. I'm so sorry, Tony. So, and we can have you back. This can be an ongoing conversation. So anyway, my point is he goes to the blip, right? When Thanos does the original snap and everybody disappears, half the world, half the universe disappears. Sorry. I'm getting a little excited. So what it boils down to is then we go 5 years in the future, as we know, and we get the fight in Endgame. And Tony specifically says, and this is where I'm getting a lot of my argument is from Endgame. Tony says, I won't lose what happened in the last 5 years. And I get that. I'm a father. I get it. I wouldn't want to lose my daughter. It would be very difficult for me to be like, well, let's rewind the clock and take my daughter out of the scenario. So I don't blame him for his motivations. What I blame him for is that when they have the ability to do literally anything with this magic glove, that they choose to bring everybody back to now instead of then, to try to start over. So he and Pepper easily could have had Morgan still. There's no reason they wouldn't have. They were already on the path to having Morgan, because we even hear that she might have been pregnant. He was having dreams when you look at Infinity War. I see you shaking your head. I'm almost done, and then I'm going to hear what you have to say. So because of this, instead of just saying, let's all go back 5 years and let's see what happens. Let's take a leap of faith. Let's take a chance. Let's be heroic. Let's be courageous in the face of fear. He's selfish and says, nah, my one daughter is more important than half of the inhabitants of the universe and all the shit they're going to have to go through. And he could have done it a different way. So I don't think he's very heroic for that. Lala, go ahead.
Okay.
No. You kind of already heard me. I'm gonna still repeat some stuff, but like, let's let Cole feel strongly about this.
Yeah. So Lala. Oh man, I might need more than 10 minutes for this. I'm about to light you up. I want you to understand, I'm not personally angry at you, but I might get into the loud voice mode. It's just I was raised by a Marine. That's how that goes.
You're good.
Would you, your father, your daughter?
You broke up so bad. Yeah, let's try that again.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
All right, I'm there. All right. Do you have a daughter?
Yeah. 2 daughters.
Would you kill half the universe to protect your daughters?
So, are you saying would I in an emotional
You
moment?
have the ability.
In an emotional moment, if I just
Yes.
Okay, so do you want? Okay, my honest answer is no. Here's why. When my father died a few years ago, I realized something about myself, and this isn't true for everybody, and it's just something I realized about myself. In the moments of what would be considered harsh moments and really harsh realities, my mind goes clear. I don't tend to freak out and make irrational decisions. So I would try to think clearly about what would be best for the world in that moment. And I'm, of course, this is a fictional scenario, so I couldn't really tell you, but I'm trying to use the most extreme moment in my life to try to think about this, right? So the most extreme moment in my life was his death. And in that moment, I was clear. I actually didn't cry, and I helped just deal with the whole situation, which for me is not normal. I'm normally a blubbering idiot. I cry at Kodak commercials, okay? I'm so emotionally unstable that I cry regularly, probably daily. But during intense moments, I don't. So I do believe that I would take for a moment into consideration the rest of the universe. And I think that as much as I love my daughters, I think that it would be unfair to do this to the entire universe. Because it's not just the whole half of the universe, it's the entire universe that gets affected by this. Look at what happens in after the blip, what we're going through. And I think part of what you're not seeing, Lala, is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because they go a lot more into the blip. And I don't want to say much more than that, but I think part of what I'm feeling is that. That's awesome. And I'm glad you guys are doing that. Look, do I love Tony Stark? Yes. Do I think he's fun to watch? Yes. But am I having a fun philosophical discussion about the characters in the MCU? Yes, that's where I'm trying to come from.
Yes. Yes.
All
you
right,
are.
so let me get into it then, right?
Please.
So I just wanted to know your stance on that personally. Iron Man, Tony Stark at the beginning of that movie, a billionaire. That's it. Not even a philanthropist, weapon manufacturer. He at the end of that movie, he gets rid of the Stark weapons side of his company, and he invests entirely in arc reactor technologies. Invents the Iron Man suit, and he comes out. He is Iron Man. Then Iron Man 2. He's dying from toxicity from the arc reactor in his chest, and he has to deal with internal demons. It lays back on Demon in a Bottle, which is a very famous Iron Man story. He figures out the cure, and he deals with his internal conflict with his father and living up to his father's standards when he figures out the new element that cures him of his issue. Episode 1, or Iron Man 1, deals with the weapons manufacturing side of things, but doing something better for society. Iron Man 2, he deals with the internal conflict. Iron Man 3 is him dealing with PTSD, his personal strife, wanting to protect what he has now, because he has a relationship with Pepper Potts, and he has to balance this Avengers lifestyle with his personal life. He realizes that his work life, his Avengers life, is leading into that personal relationship with Pepper. And so at the end of Iron Man 3, he sets up the Friday protocols and blows up all of his, or the Christmas protocols or whatever, and blows up all of his suits. So between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3, he went from selfish playboy to and more selfless, and the Avengers has occurred in between this time period. And in the Avengers, he literally lays down on the barbed wire by carrying the nuke through the portal. So he becomes selfless at this point. He's also become more of a team player because he knows he's not in charge of the Avengers. The Avengers look to Captain America. They don't look to him. You go to Avengers 2. Why does he create Ultron in Avengers 2, in Age of Ultron? He creates Ultron not for himself, not as a weapon, not as a way to make money.
A suit of armor around the world.
Build a suit of armor around the world.
Right.
So he no longer has to have that divide between himself and Pepper. He's still trying to solve that problem. Right? For Pepper's, he creates Ultron and he miscalculates and it backfires. So he has to solve the problem. You go to Civil War. Civil War is again Tony trying to give up the suit. He's being Iron Man. He wants to sign the Sokovia Accords. That way he can hand over the responsibility, the weight he feels on his shoulders as the person who kicked off the Avengers. He's trying to basically pass the buck to a world government, another governing body. So he is wrong to put the Avengers on someone else's, command. And he is wrong in Civil War. That's why he's doing what he's doing. It's nothing selfish. Then, after Civil War, you go to Infinity War. And in Infinity War, Tony Stark's goal is to protect the world. It's him. Actually, not even Infinity War. You go to Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming. He is now responsible not only for Pepper, but for this kid he has recruited into this lifestyle.
Which he shouldn't have done, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right. And he recognizes it. Remember, he takes away the suit. He takes away the Iron Spider suit and says, you don't deserve the suit. You can't handle it. And that moment as an adult is more than just saying, you're not worthy of the job. That's him saying, maybe I fucked up by putting so much pressure on you. He tries to take it back. Move on to Infinity War. In Infinity War, he is talking about being done with being an Avenger. In the beginning, he's running with Pepper Potts, talking about having a kid, maybe these things. And it's off with Infinity War. And he loses Peter. No matter what he's done, he continues to lose these things. As much as he becomes more selfless throughout the MCU, it's never enough. Until Endgame, he has to make the ultimate sacrifice.
But does making the ultimate sacrifice make you a hero?
So here's what making the ultimate sacrifice makes you a hero. You die to bring back the rest of the universe's daughters, and all you ask in return is for your daughter to stay, you're a hero. You're taking a utilitarian response. You're saying that he saved his daughter and damned the rest of everybody by not turning back the clock. But I disagree. I say he brought back everyone else's daughter, and all he wanted was to keep his.
Right.
Understand?
But no, I do. But had he
You're
snapped
getting
his
killed
fingers,
himself.
had he snapped his fingers and gone back 5 years, no turmoil, no Thanos, and Morgan still could have existed.
That's not how time travel works.
Well, they break that rule. Like we always talk about.
Works
We talk about how movies set up their own standards. So every scene, the scene with Hulk, and they're talking about Back to the Future, that entire scene is nonsense because of the fact that they break that entire rule with Steve Rogers at the end of Endgame. So the entire like you can't do that shit that they say. Even Hulk is wrong. Even they're all wrong. The movie doesn't
They're
even.
not.
They are. Steve Rogers should not be sitting there at the end of Endgame if what Hulk says is true about time travel. Flat out, like he says you cannot go to your future, which is your past, right? You can't change the timeline. So how is Steve Rogers sitting at the end of Endgame if you can't change the timeline?
Because he didn't change the timeline. He created a branch he created another branch in reality. He still has the bracelet that brings him back to what's technically his time. Like it's his present. He never went to a future, and he never went to a future. What he did was he went to his past, created a new branch in that reality that never touched ours, and then he came back to his own quote unquote like reality. He never did anything other than that.
So
you're saying he time traveled back to this time after he was really old and went to the bench, but they never say that.
You can't even see it.
But like
here's
like you said about Need for Speed, right? There's just some things.
So this is assumed plot. Now that's fine. That's fine. I would still argue this. I would still argue that Tony Stark did one heroic thing. He saved New York in Avengers. Can you say another heroic thing that he did besides that? Besides the snap? Set the snap aside. What I'm saying is he died a selfish person, and just because you snap at the end to try to save everybody doesn't mean you're not still Darth Vader. Like Darth Vader may have been redeemed, but he was still freaking Darth Vader.
He ended Stark Tech's weapons manufacturing.
Okay, so he put it back to zero. That doesn't make him a hero. So he's no longer a murdering ass. That doesn't make you a hero. That just makes you not a murdering ass. My whole point is I don't think he's a hero. Look, do I think he's fun? Do I think he's great? Do I think he sacrificed himself? Do I think all those things are true? Absolutely. Do I think he's a hero? No, I think he's not. I think he's a selfish person who was thrown into extraordinary circumstances and occasionally did good things. But that's not what a hero is. Captain America is a hero.
Is Anakin Skywalker a hero?
That's a good argument there, Lala. We'll have to get into that as well. Is Anakin Skywalker a hero? At what point?
Of episode 6 at the end of Empire.
No, he's a redeemed villain.
Throws Palpatine down.
No, because he was making up for 30 years of nightmarish shit that he did.
The question is, when can a redeemed killer? That's like saying like one of your family members go to jail for murder, right? And then they come out of jail and try their best to be a better person. All you saying that all you're going to remember them is as a murderer. They have no chance of
and that's fair. That's a fair point.
Chance to be a better person.
Totally fair. But what would they have to do in order to get to hero status after coming out of jail? Could they redeem themselves? Absolutely. Could they become? See, that's just me. I don't think that snapping the fingers. This comes down to like Watchmen, and it's like this really. And again, I love this conversation.
So much
utilitarianism.
I don't think it's so much as snapping. I don't think him snapping absolves him of the things that he's done previously in his life. But the fact that he was able to change his ways, the fact that he was able to put like other people ahead of himself, the fact that he's tried to change up until this snap that happened, that lends more to the credence of who he's trying to be as opposed to who he used to be.
Sure. I agree. He wants to be a better person. I don't disagree with that. I guess for me, when I take hero, I think of, like full blown, maybe I'm taking that too literally. And maybe this is a complex arrow with nuance, and that's not fair of me to do.
The question is anybody a hero? Like, what's a hero? Really?
Well, that's what I'm going to look up right now. A person who is
here's my question
admired
to
or
you.
idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. And that's where I think so the outstanding achievements I'm going to give him, right? And I'm going to definitely give him courage. He gets those, right? He gets 2 out of 3. So he's like
Well,
2/3 of a hero.
sacrifice.
But noble qualities, I don't think he has any. Not really, other than his brain. He's
So,
smart. That's a noble quality, but that's also,
so
I don't know, born with it maybe?
what
Maybe it's
would it
Maybelline. I don't know.
take, in your opinion? What would it take, in your opinion, for Tony Stark to redeem himself?
No, he did redeem himself. The snap is the redeem. I think he's a redeemed anti-hero.
I think his life is redeemable. I think his life from Iron Man to where we see him now. He's always, because my whole thing is this: is Doctor Strange a hero? Because he's still a dick. He's pretty
No,
much Iron Man, just with magic.
I wouldn't call him a hero either. There aren't that many heroes in the MCU.
But also I feel like definition is, because in some people's eyes, Thanos is a hero.
Anti-villain, but yes, I agree.
But
He's a
Thanos,
villain.
but Thanos, no. But think about it though. He has qualities. He literally, in his eyes, tried to save billions of people. I'm not saying his execution was correct.
Right.
His execution was trash.
Right.
His
Who makes
execution
you a
was
villain?
trash. But there are some people who, on these other planets, that are eating great, full bellies, that will call him a hero because he saved them on the brink. They'll call him a hero because he saved them on the brink of annihilation.
Right.
From what he did, from the decision that he made. So I think calling somebody a hero is relative to the person.
But see, here's the thing. So I would actually make the argument that Thanos is an anti-villain. An anti-villain is designed to appear to be heroic by their actions. And then at the end, they're truly being a villain by doing, because he has no regard for life, which makes him a villain.
But no, but see, in our eyes, we looking at 2 different Thanos. Infinity War Thanos could be considered a hero because what he's trying to do is he's trying to save the world. He's trying to save the galaxy. He sees that we're depleting everything. People are going crazy. They're having all these kids sucking up the resources. So that's essentially, people are like, that's a hero if he can do what he says he can do. I'm not saying me. I'm saying that there are
I
people
agree.
that probably count him as a hero. But the 2012 Thanos we get is a straight up villain.
That's
I'm
fair.
going to tell you guys this right now. Thanos is a villain. And this is why. On Thanos' planet, they had the same issue we're having now on Earth. The overpopulation, not enough resources, everyone died. And Thanos was like, let's kill half of everyone, that'll solve the problem. Just taking his personal experience, his small window, his small perception on life in this problem, and he's applying it to everyone. Never the correct answer.
No, but the fact that he appears heroic is what makes him an
20
anti-villain.
That's what, but that's what I'm saying. No. It's perception.
Oh, you guys are wrong to even label him an anti-villain. He's a villain.
No, by definition,
Look,
he's an anti-villain. By definition.
Listen, I have lived 3 decades in St. Louis, Missouri. Have worked on an ambulance. I've worked as a consultant. I've gone across the country. I've lived as a white, straight man with hair in the city of St. Louis. Life experience. Now, I had a solution to all my problems. Force the whole world to live by those rules. To snap my
The audio just went way wigged out bad.
Little window of perspective on life is not the same as the 3 of us in this chat room. By me doing everyone else for their perspective. And that is what makes Thanos a villain. He is applying the solutions to little perception to the entire universe. And that's never the right way to go about doing anything. Forcing yourself on the other. And he is a tyrant.
Thank you for the raid. Thank you for the raid.
Thank you for the raid. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, like I said, definitions for anything is perception, is what I'm saying. So there are people in that universe that perceive him as a hero. That doesn't mean we have to or you have to or anybody else. But what I'm saying is being a hero or feeling like somebody's a hero is in the eye of the beholder, right? So for some people on that planet or that galaxy, wherever it was, that Thanos wiped out half of the people, and now they're eating with full bellies and babies is growing up good. They might idolize him as a hero
They do.
because of what he did.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
There are also
I'm not
people here
saying-
on Earth, like in our
Exactly.
world, that call Thanos a hero all the time. They're like, no, he was right. He was right,
Exactly.
which makes him an anti-villain.
His execution for me is trash because there's some people that say that maybe Killmonger is a hero because of what he was trying to achieve. But once again, his execution was trash,
Another
right?
anti-villain.
Which is what he says put him in the anti-villain category. But
Right.
I'm saying people wouldn't call them anti-villains. They would call him heroes, and it's all because of perception, how people want to label you.
No, it's the
is
same
what I'm
reason that like Han Solo might have been looked at as a scoundrel, as a villain, but because he did the right thing in the end, he's an anti-hero.
Like,
So it's the
people
same
would label
thing,
him
but
as
it's
a hero.
perception that makes
Yeah.
people anti-hero or anti-villain. So it's
Yeah,
not that they're not
exactly.
villainous. You are right. He is a villain, but he's a particular type of villain that makes people makes him think people. I'm sorry, that makes people think that he's right and doing the right
Yes.
thing. You can
Yes.
find this all over. John Hammond is an anti-villain, where he's building Jurassic Park and it's for the right, it's for the good, it's for the kids. Yeah, you just totally screwed up genetics and DNA for the rest of the world, and things are terrible now because of you. Thanks, anti-villain. So that's all my point is. I don't disagree that the world's a jacked up place.
Exactly, and I respect your opinion, but for me, for somebody to make the choice to change for the better, it's easier to stay who you are, continue to live the trash life that you've been living, or doing the trash things that you were doing because of the money and things that you received. But the fact that at every turn he was willing to change, I don't blame Tony for Ultron because even Bruce Banner said we were nowhere near close to figuring out this technology. Everybody blames Tony for Ultron, but nobody blames Bruce, and he was next to him doing stuff too. So if you're gonna blame one, blame both. And on top of that too, Civil War is up in the air. I don't blame Tony and I don't blame Cap because honestly, it's very Martin Luther King, Malcolm X like for them too. They want the same thing. They're just going about it in two different ways. And I don't blame Tony for Spider-Man. Because if Tony didn't even bring Spider-Man into the fold, everything that happened in Infinity War, that little kid would have either died or not known what was going on if he wasn't brought into the fold or at least trained by Tony in some way. He would have been super confused. And think about it, with Homecoming and Far From Home, he wouldn't have known what to do. There would be nobody there to help him or to assist him, especially in like Far From Home. Because
Agreed.
there was nobody there. He wouldn't have the knowledge of being mentored by Tony Stark and these things. So Tony essentially for me left a legacy that was greater than himself. And by letting go of the one thing that he might have cherished maybe underneath his daughter himself, a sacrifice in like letting yourself go to me, for me, automatically pushes you up to hero status. Because I'm gonna go with what Marvel Light 20 kind of said, because I think I've said this somewhere else before too, that to give him the power to snap, to say that he should have snapped and went back 5 years, forget your daughter, right? That's saying that he's forgetting anybody else that was created in those 5 years. So you're giving him the power of God to say it's okay to snatch up these people that have been created in these 5 years to go back, because who's to tell that even by going back, people would have still remembered all these people that disappeared, that they created, that they met, that they've been with, that has helped them throughout these 5 years. I think it's a catch-22 either way.
That's fair.
So the best we could do is let's bring back everybody to this time and try to grow and move on. Keep the blessings that we've all had, that we've all gained in some way, and move on together, as opposed to going back and trying to fix something that probably can't be fixed, because Doctor Strange said it was a fixed point. That's the only way that they could even gotten to the end game.
That's fair. That's fair. We
If
do
you go
need
back
to
5 years, you have a third Thanos.
oh, that's true.
So
We do need to end the show. At this point, we've gone 15 minutes over than we normally do. I'm really big on 3 hours, but this debate was my fault and it had to happen. Thank you for having it. I do appreciate it. And again, total respect for all opinions involved. We do not disagree on having opinions. We can just agree to disagree. We are going to raid Diamond Dogs tonight, and I don't know him well, but I know that he's cool amongst the group of people that I hang out with here on Twitch, and I want to make sure that he gets some love as well. So you really just /raid space the name of the person in your chat, and it should raid it for you. You have to have the ability to raid, and
I have no friends on Twitch.
well, you have me. I added you, so.
But I don't think I have the capabilities.
No, yeah, we got to get you dual streaming with me, and like Joker said, we'll get you up and running. So, Cole, thank you so much for being here, man. It was a blast. Thank you for your insight and your personal views. Appreciate it. Lala, as always, this has been a blast. And of course, yes, Cole, of course, you're welcome back as well. We will have you back.
For sure.
I think next week,
man, I'll make time.
We will, and we'll do it during Comic Book Month. Lala, next week I think it's going to be just you and me, just to see how that goes, just for fun. And we'll take care of those 3 movies we talked about: Super Mario Brothers, Mortal Kombat, the new 2021 film, as well as Doom with Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
So Cole, if you can join us for that one, so we can talk about your movie.
Yes, at least join us in the chat and say hello, and we'll see how things are going.
I will be in Lenexa, Kansas, Thursday, Friday, and then I'll be in Branson, Missouri, Friday or Saturday, Sunday. Because of just the nature of what I do for a living. If
Fair
I
enough.
get this contract, I'll be in 8 days. If I don't, I'll be on TikTok for 24 hours a day.
All right. Well,
fingers crossed
at the
for you,
time,
man.
I'll happily do it.
This has been Bits and WIKK, the review show, where we review the movies as well as pop culture stuff and argue about things just for the fun of it. You guys have a great night. We'll be rating here in just a few. 7, 6, 5, and 4, and 3, and 2. We're going to do some aerobics. And 1. Rating. Good night, all. All right, we are